We are now live. They are seeing the standing by stuff. I will hit the button, and it's about 2 minutes 10 seconds till we are on the air. You'll hear me do the intro. I'll intro you guys individually. Let's get it going, all right? And people are already in here. It's good. So let's see. We got 12 people waiting. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here. Let us get it started. And here we go. Oh man, that music gets me going. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. However you happen to be watching and or listening to this, I want to welcome you to the latest episode of the Gaming Circle podcast. Now, I'm not used to our new setup, so if you don't hear us, if there are any issues, please let us know in the chat. We're still growing. That's what we're doing. I am your host, Mr. K Asante, TKO Asante, Xbox, PlayStation, all those ridiculous places that you tend to come and hunt me down. And of course, as you can see, I am not joined by my co-host, the slanderous one. He will not be with us this week, but it is because of a very good reason. He's hard at work studying for some life upgrades. He will tell us all about that when he has the time. So we'll see him here next week. So shout out to EverbornSaga. If you're out there, we hope you're doing good, and we'll chop it up again with you next week. I will first and foremost start out by thanking everybody who is already here. I see a bunch of folks in the chat already. I see some super chats. We'll get into all of that. But yes, first and foremost, let me do a quick bit of housekeeping. Thanks to everybody who is checking out our stuff on the net, checking out our stuff on the various socials and all the I see some movement. Oh, okay, we good. All the audio listeners and everybody. Thank you guys so much. We're growing exponentially, and it's all thanks to you guys. So thank you guys so much. If you haven't had a chance to check us out in any of those places, understand that we are in all your favorite audio listener services, your Apples, your Androids, all those places, and we try to keep it PG-13. None of the slanderous, none of the stuff that the kids can't listen to on a Saturday morning, so you guys can feel safe to be here with the fam when you listen to us. But okay, let me also say big shout out. I've had a really busy week of podcasting for some reason. Shout out to the Wandering Dutch for first creating the intros and outros that you will see on this show. So we appreciate him for that. And also for having me on the Midweek Mix-Up podcast yesterday. You know, we had a great conversation, as well as Infinite Umbra, Doom Cutie, Jedi Knight Peter, and all the Risky for the Biscuit, the whole Xbox Infinite podcast crew who also had me on last night. We had a really interesting conversation with the folks who reviewed Forspoken and gave it a 9.5 out of 10. Y'all need to check out that show. Check out the show. They gave it a 9.5 out of 10. But before the pitchforks come out from our frame, they are decent humans, and after you talk to them, you realize it was just one of those scenarios where they had the perfect storm, and it was a great conversation. Awesome folks, but it was a great conversation to have. So go check that out. I appreciate being invited on here. But okay, so let me introduce our all-star panel. Right now, Everborn is hopefully he's not watching this, so when I say this, it'll go in one ear and out the other. He's not here, so I had to load up on the awesome guests because we won't have the slander, but we'll have the introspective conversation anyway. And I will start probably with, I guess, by virtue of him being here the most, he can slide into the second chair and be my co-host. This man needs no introduction because, at this point he has the keys. He comes in through the back. He goes and pause. He goes and grabs a drink. I caught myself on that one. That was terrible. He grabs a drink. The man whose favorite line is "You had me at Halo," Mr. One Bad Mother. What's going on, OBM? How you doing?
We're going to miss some conspiracy theories today, so I am, a little bit bummed about that. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting into it, and I won't take too much time at the intros.
They said you were muted, ladies and gentlemen. Can you hear him?
No. I can hear him.
1 2 1 2.
I hear him.
Chat, tell us. Oh, there it goes. Okay, there were technical issues. No, you're good now. You're good now. Forgive us.
I'm good now.
I'm good now. Please continue.
Yeah, Mr. Joanna Dark said I pulled a jazz. I'm not going to do the face palm, right?
Stop it.
Yeah, man. Anyways, just thank you for having me on, man. It is always awesome coming on here. I love the conversations we always have together. So I won't take any more time because we got a lot of topics today. So
absolutely. Thank you so much for being here. And let's see. I guess our first guest, which is another returning guest. He's here. He's been here a few times, and he's a great follow on Twitter because he keeps it slanderous when necessary. The OG in these gaming streets, Mr. Pixelbit G. What's going on, sir? Welcome to the show.
Good morning, gentlemen. Appreciate the invite. Let's get it popping today.
Oh, I appreciate you being here, and the man's on cam. We doing it real this time, and of course, of course, I am so happy to have this gentleman on. I've been keeping an eye on his stuff on these gaming streets and in the news conversation for a little bit now. He is not afraid to push the envelope. He's not afraid to say what needs to be said, and he does it while suited and booted and being absolutely slanderous. So the man will fit perfectly on this show. You can catch him on Ham Solo's channel. I see him on Ham's channel quite frequently, and he is also a freelance writer. So I've seen him. I think on IGN on a few occasions, and a few other writing locations. He's writing for them. So he's out there moving and shaking. Mr. Loke7, what's going on? So welcome to the show. How you doing?
All right. So right off the bat, it's not Ham's channel. It's our channel.
It's their channel. Forgive me. Oh, forgive me. Yes, go ahead. Yes.
All right.
First off, yes.
Number two, it's IGN Africa. So get that right.
Oh, don't get it twisted. Yes. Because they are different, right? They're not all one conglomerate, right? There are difference. Okay.
Yeah.
But no, I all the same, I appreciate you being here, sir. How about you, while you're talking, tell the people where they can find you, what brings you into the gaming space, because I believe you have a very unique voice in this space. So tell the folks where they can keep up with your stuff.
It's the name is on the screen. Loke7, PlayStation, Xbox, Twitter. On Xbox, it's Loke7 with a space between the K and the 7. I'm on TSWS Gaming on Fridays and Tuesdays with Ham Solo. On Thursdays, he does interviews. Last week, he did a very nice interview with the father of Xbox.
A very nice interview? No. Don't short shrift. He did a monster interview with a dude that nobody can get. Like, nobody can get that.
It was amazing.
Amazing.
It was.
Shout out to him.
Dope.
And if you watch it, you'll see that Sheamus was very chilled. He wasn't like all corporate and stuff. So
he's never
I
been
think
that guy.
some-
Yeah, he's
Sheamus
great.
has never been
There's
corporate.
some very nice nuggets. There's some
Absolutely.
very nice nuggets in the interview from Behind Them Sticks on Thursday.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where you can find me. What got me into gaming? I'll be brief because we have a tight show. First console, NES, the game that made this hobby real for me, Metal Gear Solid. Let's go.
So there'll be no MGS slander here, ladies and gentlemen. Otherwise, he's coming for
Oh,
you. We're gonna do
hell
it.
no.
Well, the first MGS was really the
GOAT.
only good one. But.
Oh no!
what?
Oh, here we go. It's gonna be early with this.
What did you say?
Absolutely nothing. We heard some noise. There was noise on the line. We don't know. We're gonna keep forward.
My mic might not be working.
His mic was messed up a little bit. Yeah, that's what happened.
But Slow-Mo got it right. His mic was developed by 343. That's what
Oh boy, this is gonna be crazy. Yes. Speaking
That was
of
a little
slow-mo,
desync, a little desync right there. Sorry about that.
Go on.
speaking of slow-mo, thank you guys so much for being here. I see folks in the chat already getting wild. Mr. Joe in the Dark, thank you for being here. Punty's in here. The OG Gerald Matt, appreciate you being here. Gerald drops a $10 super chart to start the show. Thank you, sir. He says, "Good morning, gentlemen. Shout out to the podcast." Yes, Mr. Joe in the Dark. I'm first with the super chat. It's this Saturday. Ooh, so y'all are like
competition?
fighting to see who's first. Interesting. Appreciate you guys for being here. Live Supremacy's here. Infinite Umbra. Oh, Neo Mental. Now that is Mr. Boomstick's actual brother. I appreciate you for being here, Neo. It's always great. Also a funny dude. I wish you do more podcasts, Neo. You're great. You should be on cam more. But you know what? Let us get started with the gaming news proper. But before we do, we as we do around this show, we always start with the games that we have been playing. I will start with you, Loke, because you are our guest. So the question is, what games have been keeping you busy as of late?
So I clocked Ghost of Tsushima based game and Iki Island, the DLC.
Okay.
Great game. This was on Tuesday or something.
This was
And
your
then,
first playthrough?
No, yeah. I had never played it before.
Wow. Yeah. Great
So,
game.
I clocked it on Sunday actually.
Okay.
And then the whole week I was super busy with work. Also having some upgrades. Thank whichever deity you guys like or prefer. But today I started today I started getting like serious into hi-fi rush, and I want to take a few steps back because, as you know, Ken Santi, I've been very vehement in saying that it is an 8 at best. I haven't finished it yet. But
I don't feel bad about my.
Oh, he's
Metal Gear
about to
Solid
admit he's
anymore.
wrong. Hold on, this is a rare occurrence.
yeah.
He's about to admit he's wrong. Hold on, wait.
Listen, I'm not wrong. I'm
Hold
not
on.
wrong. What I'm saying is, I can now like sympathize with the people that say it's a 9
That you're wrong?
or even a 10.
You can now understand the people that realize you're wrong.
Let me finish the game and then I'll decide if.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
wrong. But
Yeah.
So far, before, just like you guys are just capping, y'all are fanboys, etc., etc. Now,
How many hours in are you?
I've just developed a crush on Corsica.
Uh-huh.
I think she's Irish or something. I just beat her, and
Are you like
Dude,
2-3 hours
laughing.
in?
no, I think it's like 4 or 5.
4 or 5 hours in.
Point
Okay.
is,
Okay.
like right now, what's stuck in my head is the scene where she's like passed out, and I'm carrying her out, and then I don't want to spoil it for everyone else.
Yeah,
but like
please don't,
the head knocking parts. The
Actually,
head knocking.
a lot of
Dude,
actions keep happening. It's hilarious.
I'm rolling on the floor. There's no one in the house. I'm rolling on the floor, just laughing my butt off.
Yep.
This game, this is how you write humor. For the people that if you love Forspoken, play Hi-Fi. If Forspoken is funny to you, right?
What?
Go and play Hi-Fi, right?
Jesus. The slam that started.
When you roll credits, Loke, I want to revisit your score again because I haven't rolled credits. I'm trying very hard to take it as slowly as I possibly can. And everyone that has rolled credits tells me that you start from where you start, and at the end, you double your score because it's just that good at the end. That's what everyone tells me. So
And
you're gonna be wrong,
what?
player.
And
Yeah,
what
anybody who
Right.
quit this game like in the first 2 levels really hasn't played the game. Like it
Yeah.
really it does start as a tutorial, right? And other than the first boss, it's really it starts off a bit slow,
I
but
think the whole game is a tutorial because I've beaten so many bosses. I'm still
they're
getting new abilities,
Still
new
adding
skills.
updates. It's
New
Yeah.
skills,
great.
new prompts, new things. Yeah,
Keeps
yeah,
coming.
yeah.
keeps
See,
coming by the
my
end.
only bit of
Well,
slander for Hi-Fi
It's
Rush
so
is
fluid.
where's the Zune? Stop the iPod. Give me a Zune. That would have made the chef's kiss. That's all I wanted. A Zune. That's all I wanted. That's it.
Next to it, I have a Windows Phone.
exactly. So that's all you've been
So
playing.
for me,
What else?
the
Yeah.
reason it's gonna take me forever to finish the game is because the text thingies that you find during your playthrough,
Uh-huh.
like the little iPad thingies that they have
Yep.
laying around. I stop and I read those.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So it's gonna
Yeah.
take me a minute to finish the game.
you're getting through pretty fast because I just hit 10 hours, and I just got to where you're at. So yeah.
Oh,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh,
taking-
I'm collecting things. I'm reading all the things. Like that game is so well done, and we'll expound on how well because I know there's a lot of Hi-Fi Rush conversations in the zeitgeist. Anything else you've been playing?
I don't think I'm gonna be playing anything until Harry Potter comes out. Just Hi-Fi until Harry Potter comes out, and then when Harry Potter comes out, I'll just be jumping between the two. There's nothing else worth playing for me, at least,
No.
right now.
No. I will turn to OBM. Anything on your playlist that's different? Anything going on this week, or are you also all Hi-Fi Rush?
I mean, that's been the majority. Last night I also had my Halo Infinite up to 2 a.m. which is part of why I'm tired this morning. Just so I can experience the desync and make sure it's still there. Yeah. but yeah, Hi-Fi Rush has been been the game, and I would just say that game does seem to get better the longer you play it. And as somebody who loves the Devil May Cry series, or at least
Nice.
recently
Yeah.
started to really like that series, this you can play it like that. You don't have to be good at a rhythm game, and I think that it took me a little while to get over that because for some reason I suck at the timing. This is one of those things. It's just not it. I don't have the beat in me, I guess. But if you just play it like a Devil May Cry game, it's a lot of fun. So and then
One
Dead Space,
thing
but
I
I'm
will
very
recommend
into
for
that.
you if you suck at the timing, like, are you playing this on your headphones? Are you playing this through a seat? Like, there's a lot. This game is super sensitive with what do you call it? Latency, like to a ridiculous level.
You're right. You're
know.
right, and in fact, I did notice that. Like on the headset, it does seem like it's like the timing between
Just
that
a
and my
little
TV
bit,
is a little bit different.
to the point where I'm
Yeah.
actually 3.5 millimeter jack with headphones on in order to get my timing right. That might be the clincher for some people. They don't think about, hey, my speaker system that I'm listening to has a little bit of processing delay before it comes out versus the video. It is actually very much like Guitar Hero and Rock Band in that way, where you have to line it up perfectly.
Well, you know what's funny? Because of this game, I'm actually now going through online research, trying to how do I line up and make sure all my timing of my sound and my picture is perfect. And
There's a
Wow. Get all that
calibration
stuff
sensor
down.
inside the settings of that game. There's a calibration thing you can kind of mess with.
okay.
So I know this because I've been trying to play this on the deck, and Bluetooth, it's a pain in the butt. Yeah.
So I have a specific timing trick that I use. I don't pay attention to the combos. I don't pay attention to the first 4 or 3 hits, and then when the big one comes, like the circle that envelops the whole screen, that's the one that I actually
That's
time.
when you
The
hit.
rest I
Okay.
don't time.
Understood.
So for me, that's what works.
Okay. See, what works for me is I'm like a musician from way back. So if it's in my head and I'm listening and I'm jamming, I can hit the button to the beat without even looking at it. Right. So when I start missing, I'm like, something's wrong here. I know what I'm doing. What's going on? You know what I mean?
Exactly, it's the controller.
Yeah, something's going down. Like, I have music sequences in this house. I've been making music all my life. Get out of here with that. You know what I'm saying?
But that, like we said before, though, this is the most Dreamcast game that we played since Jet
Absolutely.
Set Radio.
Yeah, there's even Dreamcast Easter eggs in the game. Like, the logo is in the game. If you hunt for it, you'll find it. Yes. Pixel, how about you? Anything else besides Hi-Fi Rush? Because we could just start talking Hi-Fi Rush then, because that's all we got.
I'm definitely playing Hi-Fi Rush slowly. I haven't had a lot of time this week, but I started Age of Empires 2.
Yeah, how was that?
I heard that's good.
I hear the console conversion, the controller conversion is actually really good, right?
Yeah, it works. I mean, not only does it work, but it's efficient. So I'm like, okay, I think I may decide to actually beat the whole campaign. I don't think I've ever played that game back in the days. I wasn't into Age of Empires back in the day. So
fantastic.
Nice. I'm playing that. I'm currently on my third Halo Infinite run. Now I'm playing co-op with my 3 and 7 year old. That's interesting weekend gaming that I'm being forced to do.
I'll be forced to do, he says.
So I mean, because they're not helping.
Oh yeah, hindrances.
The game somehow has adjusted us to heroic.
See, I was about to say, this is Pixel Bit G we're talking about. So he's playing with his 3 and 7 year old, probably on like the hardest difficulty possible.
I beat on Legendary by myself already, but I mean, I'm playing it on heroic with 2 little midgets who aren't helping. You know what I'm saying? So but I'm having a good time doing that. And after that show 2 weeks ago, I actually started Elder Scrolls Online.
Hey, they convinced some people. Okay.
And it's Elder Scrolls for real. It's dope.
Like Skyrim, good?
Yo, yeah.
Doesn't it feel daunting though, Pixel? Doesn't it feel like it's just so
20 DLCs?
It's massive, but here's the thing, right? You start in like a hub world space. So at the very least, they don't open everything up to you. You just choose a world and go to it. So that makes it feel a little smaller. You know what I'm saying? But like in terms of like the powers and stuff, I'm like, I never saw these powers in freaking Skyrim or Morrowind or Oblivion. Like they got some like dragon powers, dope. So yeah, I think they might. I think I may have to buy it at this point. But yeah, I'm playing that, and I've been playing it on my Steam Deck via xCloud with my end gears on. You feel me? You know what I'm saying?
Obviously, you're talking about a man with culture. All right.
I'm a man with culture.
Clearly.
And it plays very well on xCloud because it's a massive download. Like nobody want to download this, like 140 gigs or something like that. But it plays. It's the pacing of the game works perfectly for xCloud. So yeah, I'm rocking that.
Interesting.
I love Skyrim, but dude, it's just so big.
Yes.
Every time I think about giving it a chance, I'm just like, no.
Yeah.
I beat the crap out of Skyrim. So I like those kind of games. I mean, I spent a lot of time in Fallout, Witcher 3. So, but the problem now is I just don't have the time. So I'm in no rush. I'm just using it as I'll play it, I'll have some fun, I'll enjoy it. I don't know if I'll ever beat it.
What are we talking about here, Mr. Slow-Mo Backslap? There will be no slander in the chat, or you will be revoked your privileges, sir. He's calling it the No Rhythm Podcast. Get out of here, sir. There will be none of that. No. I apologize for cutting you off, but I had to executive order there real quick. Stop that, man.
No, you good.
Go ahead.
Yes, that's all I got. Go ahead.
Okay. No, I appreciate it. I have been looking like you. It seemed like that the after the show, I was like, yo, I should actually give this thing a chance. But to Loke's point, I see that game and it looks to me like starting to read War and Peace. Like it is just a monumental undertaking. So I'm just like, I don't know how I'm gonna eat this elephant. Maybe one bite at a time. It'll take me a while.
Literally, just approach it like a single player game. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
No,
so do you see any kind of other folks in your world as you play, or is it just seriously just you?
Yeah, no. People are running around the world. It's an active world, but I'm just not paying anybody attention. I'm on my mission.
Cool. Cool. Kind of Destiny in that way. Interesting.
Yeah. So
very cool. All right. Very cool.
Like, if you like ESO, it is very much ESO.
Excellent. Well, folks, that's what we've been playing. Like I won't even go any further. Like I have just been playing Hi-Fi Rush everywhere and anywhere I can. That game is amazing. But I'm totally biased. I'm a musician. I have been for a long time. So anything that incorporates music into game, you get my respect. For those who wanna like the OG, one of the people say Parappa the Rapper. Yes, okay, but to me it's Sound Shapes. If you've ever heard of Sound Shapes, go look it up. It was on Vita. It was on PlayStation 3. One of the best. They actually built an actual gaming a music sequencer in it, and you can make your own music and then play it as a level. Like amazing stuff. Hi-Fi Rush. It taps into that perfect vein that I've been looking for a long time. So I'll be playing that for quite some time now. But we can move on and we can start talking a bit more news stories because, as you guys have said, there is a lot of news today, and most likely we won't get to them all. So, chat, I will first and foremost thank you once again for being here and being lively. If there are any games you want to talk about, anything you want to discuss that we're missing, go ahead and put it in the chat. You know, you don't have to super chat it. You could just say question or something like that. Get my attention, and we'll call it out. We do appreciate all the super chats and all the support. It's great that you guys are here. So let us move on to some of the news stories that we have been discussing that have been going around, and there are lots of them, and we'll touch on them little by little, right? And we'll try, because we all here. We're gonna talk a little bit about that Halo stuff. But before we get there, before we get to Halo and 343 and the tiers and all of that, let's start with a little bit of some of the news the news guys have provided us this week. And first and foremost, I thought it was interesting that Star Wars Jedi Survivor was delayed for 6 weeks to the 28th, right? Now, when this news came out, I was like, 6 weeks? I don't really think 6 weeks is for development, maybe strategic moves, possibly, because before then, wasn't it going to be right on top of another really massive game? I forget exactly the timeline there, but I am in no way, shape, or form disappointed by this news. It's only a couple of weeks, and the game's shaping up, looking like it's going to be excellent. You know, I'll start with our new guest here, Loke. Do you have any experience with the new Jedi? I guess it's a franchise now, right? The Fallen Order to Survivor. How you feel about it? Is this exciting to you? Were you disappointed by this news?
All right. So first off, the franchise starts from 3 upwards. Right? So,
Mr. Well, actually, over here. Go ahead.
No, it's 3 upwards.
Yeah, you got to do this when you do that. You got yes. Go ahead.
I do what?
You got to put your finger on your glasses when you do. Well, actually.
Yeah. So I did play the first one. I was very skeptical. I waited for the reviews because I was like, this is Electronic Arts. It's probably going to be stuffed to the brim with microtransactions. It's going to suck. It didn't suck according to the reviews. I bought it, and I thought it was a very good game. And I completely agree with your initial assessment. This move, in my opinion, is just to get away from Hogwarts and Atomic Heart. Because these games are going to spill over. I think Hogwarts is going to be like Elden Ring. Not in terms of being Game of the Year, but people are going to be talking about it and playing it for months to come. So yeah. I think they just wanted some breathing room. And I'm okay with that because I'm the guy that plays games, especially good games, really slow. I like to smell the roses and take my time with it. Unless it's Doom or something, then you have to, shoot fast and get to the exit. Yeah, rip and tear and get the hell out.
Get the hell out of there. That's right.
Games like these ones, I like to take my time with, and I know Harry Potter, dude. I'm probably gonna have to do 3 new game pluses with Harry Potter. I'm not gonna play as Hufflepuff. Forget that. But Slytherin, Gryffindor and Ravenclaw. Yes, I'm gonna play it 3 times. I will need the time. So I'm fine with this. It's not a problem. I'm not panicking.
Okay. Very, very cool. Very cool. See, I am. I have heard that Hogwarts Legacy is going to move the needle like exponentially. Like, and I have it on good authority that, boy, they put it in there. That game has all of the elements in there. And those who love the thing that I find interesting is those who love that world will this will be a game changer for them. But to my understanding, from everything I'm hearing, even those who are casual observers or people who just kind of watch the movies, even they may see this and the work that was put into it and the attention to detail.
Can I cut you off real quick?
Oh,
sorry,
yeah, go ahead,
tell
please.
a very nice story.
Go ahead.
My wife. I've been trying to get my wife to play video games to close, like for about 13 years now. And I have failed. I have tried everything. And I mean everything. Okay? I didn't even tell about Hogwarts Legacy. It was just the trailer was playing. She was passing right behind me. She's like, "Is that a movie or a Harry Potter cartoon?" I'm like, "No, that's a video game that's coming, that's upcoming." And then she sat and she's just watching to see, and then she's like, "Oh, okay, this is interesting," and she leaves. Unbeknownst to me, she goes and grabs a tablet, goes on YouTube, does a deep dive on Hogwarts Legacy,
well,
and then she just comes to confirm. She just came to confirm. So you're getting this game? I'm like, yeah, I'm getting this game, but you never asked me what I'm getting or what I'm not getting. Why are you asking me? She's like, we need to get the pre-order because
well,
of X and Y and whatever. She's telling me about arenas and shit, and I'm like, sorry for cussing. She's telling me about arenas and stuff. I'm like, I don't even know nothing about. Okay, sure, let's get this. So I'm just saying, people that don't care nothing about video games are really falling in love with this. So your assessment, I can personally attest to the assessment that you're giving, that people that don't really play video games are interested in Hogwarts Legacy.
That's awesome.
It's big.
We will have to hear how it goes once the game is in the house and y'all are playing. I want to hear this, man. This is great. Turning non-gamers into gamers. I too have been on the same mission. I've been trying to get my wife to game with me for years as well. Her problem is she has a very sensitive motion sickness. So after 3D started, it kind of lost her. She can't really follow along with that as much. But I throw a 2D game on there and she can get down with me. So I feel your pain, sir. But no, that's great to hear. That's great to hear. I hear lots of great things going on in that. How about you, Pixel? Like, is this your kind of game? You know, you heard Jedi. I think you played Fallen Order, if I'm not mistaken, right? And Vince Zampella is out here doing things that EA doesn't like, but still collecting the check. How you feel about this?
The game that came out and was deeply snubbed the year it came out. Yeah, I love that game. I don't know. Maybe they're trying to give us some more time so they don't get a double snub this year.
Yeah. Maybe they're trying to remind you towards the end of the year that, hey, we're still here. Hello.
And we're still here. Like, cause I think it came out pretty early in the year last. Was it early or late?
It was pretty early last year. Well, no, you're right. It was super late. It was like almost December
late.
Or something.
It was late, and then it should have gotten a nod the next year because it was a damn good game.
But people had forgotten about it.
It didn't get any love. I mean, it's the problem with that, right? But yeah, I don't think they're delaying it, for anything more than just to give some space, because, like you said, Hogwarts is going to be huge. I mean, I pre-ordered it as well. It has all the markings of a major RPG hit, right? Especially with that kind of IP. That's like a Spider-Man level IP that you're talking about here. Like Hogwarts, they're big.
Yeah.
The game looks like it's very well crafted. Like they have
WB needs this dub.
Yeah. I'm saying they have everything in that, and WB. I was a big Shadow of Mordor and War fan, right? So when they dive into an IP, they do understand how to get like the elements of those IPs into games, and I don't see any falling off on this one. So it's probably a good move for Jedi Survivor to move over, even though I think it has its own fan base, but that fan base isn't going to be as big as this. And this is I think the last game was like 20 hours or something like that.
Yeah. It was pretty deep
game, especially if you played on the harder levels and stuff. So
just fix that damn map, please.
I like the map.
The map was
I like the map.
The map was
No,
terrible.
no.
It was terrible.
That first, what is the first board?
The first map was
It
terrible.
was the freaking toad, and like, yo, they
It
burnt
was
like
fine.
5 hours trying to
Trying to find my way through the damn gauntlet.
Right.
That was that map. Like, what's
Yeah.
going on?
Okay, did you guys play Control?
Of
Did you
course.
play Control?
Also, terrible
Yeah.
map.
Also a terrible.
That
map.
was horrible.
That
Yes.
had one of the worst maps. That was a good game with one of the
I
worst
think
maps.
they're in my brain they're on par, but at the very least, Jedi Fallen Order at least allowed me to beat it. Like the controls map
Yeah.
was trash. I was like, I'm done. I can't. Like,
Oh man,
I
you
can't
missed,
I gave
you
up
missed
on
the
Control,
ashtray
not
maze
because
then,
it
man.
was difficult, just because I couldn't find my way.
just that I can't find it. Like, just let me
Jeez.
point me in the right direction, right? But
Where do I need to go?
good game ruined by a bad map. So hopefully
Bad map. Yes.
But
I mean, Elden Ring. Control makes Elden Ring look simple. That's how bad Control is.
Elden Ring has a right to be complicated. Control had no right to do that. You know.
Well, we'll move on for Elden Ring. I'm just saying, give me multiplayer called multiplayer and leave them fingers alone. But that's different. That's different. We'll just keep moving. OBM, finish up this topic. What do you think of this whole situation? Are you concerned? What's good?
No, I mean this is smart business, man.
Yeah.
And I bet you there's some developers at Guerrilla are like, hey, Sully, this is how you do it. You know, when you're up against, don't get that. You know, don't have an ego, and we don't need to move, and this is a smart thing. I'm looking forward to the Star Wars game more than Harry Potter myself. I prefer Metroidvanias or Soulsborne game design over open world generally, with the exception of Elden Ring, which was like one of the best. It's probably the greatest open world of all time. But aside from that, yeah, I mean, I just think this is the way to do it, and it's something that I hope Microsoft takes note of too. If they have Diablo coming out and Starfield set up in the same window.
Technically they don't have Diablo coming out just yet, but
Yeah, I know. Well,
I
I
take
mean,
your point, sir.
but yeah, don't pile these things on top of each other. I think the way that, especially with gaming enthusiasts are nowadays, a lot of times we'll hear, well, these are separate genres or they're different audiences.
Yeah.
The truth is I think when you start talking about the gaming enthusiasts, the guys like us who've been around a long time.
It's just stealing our time, one versus
yeah,
another.
it's like
Absolutely. Yeah.
when something great comes out, we're interested, right?
Yeah,
and so don't dump them all together like
Mm.
that. So yeah, good decision. I think that really anything that's an expensive game to make probably needs to give itself space from something like a Hogwarts, and later on probably Diablo and Starfield as well. And Spider-Man later this year. So.
Great. So, real quick, before we continue on to the next story, I see Igmatic Dream in the chat asking, where is Everborn? Well, unfortunately, Everborn will not be joining us this week, but that's because the man is out there preparing for some life upgrades. So, shout out to Everborn. He'll be back for sure next week. But, he may catch this now. He may be catching this on VOD or whatever. But, yeah, he's busy real quick, but his reasons are sound. Nothing bad, all good things. So, that's where Everborn is right now. Let us move on to the next story. And actually, before we do, let me see. Oh, I see Xbox. The Xbox International podcast is in the chat. Shout out to those gentlemen. They get real slanders on their show. I hope you, if you're not subscribed to them, I think you should be. Let's move up quickly along and talk about.
Aaron is getting messy in the chat.
I know.
Messy.
I see him. I'm trying to not let him derail me. Let's talk about Redfall and the fact that people are either perturbed or nonplussed by the fact that it requires an internet connection. Right now, for those who know, Redfall has been shown to be a drop-in, drop-out kind of co-op experience. It is an arcane game, so it is at its heart a single-player game that can be played with multiple folks. But because of the drop-in, drop-out nature, based on their explanations, they're saying, hey, we're requiring an internet connection to make sure you're able to make sure that everybody's playing. So, Loke, let's go back to you. Requiring an internet connection. Do you care?
I just want to say, before I reply to that Pixel bit, remind me not to mess with you via text, dude. What the hell?
Did
No.
you hear my intro of this, man? You don't want to mess with the OG.
Man.
What you talking about?
Yo, Pixel Bit. Jeez, man. Be gentle. We're trying to keep the chat
the funny
entertained,
thing,
not antagonized.
the funny
What's
thing
going
is,
on?
you and I engaged on one of your shows one time. So you don't remember what I do. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? But it's all good.
Yeah.
I'm just ribbing you. I'm just ribbing Aaron. It's all good.
Pixel Bit comes with the hammer all the time. He is not a scalpel, ladies and gentlemen. He is a hammer.
I don't know how to go light. Go ahead.
All the time.
So go ahead.
Judy's hammer, or is it Kratos? Never mind. I'm gonna be brief. Like you said, it's kind of tight. This is one of those nothing burgers that gets spun up by fanboys and girls. I'm not sexist. And it says nothing. It means nothing. Hogwarts Legacy is a 100% single player game. Requires online. Redfall is a hybrid and actually has
reasons for
online multiplayer functions and modes. So it makes sense for it to have it. But the same people that have a problem with Redfall are saying nothing about Harry Potter.
About Harry Potter. Yeah.
This is below.
Let me just chime in for a
That's
second.
all right.
Lock. So, but they said that Harry Potter only needs it for a download. That's what I heard. They try to claim it only needs it for a download. Like, no, bro.
It's online the whole time. Yeah.
That connection.
See,
It's
yeah,
not just for
to that
download.
point, that is far more egregious of an issue
God.
than Redfall. But you haven't heard as much consternation. That is absolutely true. Yeah. That's very strange.
Yes.
That is very strange.
But the reason why I try to just pretend like these aren't even stories is because the people presenting them are having disingenuous arguments about it. So
Absolutely.
we can disagree, but if we're both disagreeing in an honest manner and we're focusing on the issue, we're not focusing on just taking the dub, then it's fine. But if you're focusing on other things rather than the issue at hand, then we can't even have a conversation. For me, this whole topic is the whole foundation is rotten.
I don't disagree with you.
That's all.
Absolutely. No. I appreciate your take. I don't disagree with you. I will move to the next panelist, but I will say, before I do, I have a bit of an issue with this, but it comes from a different place. It's not that place that the others are coming from. It's the fact that I want these things, once they're out of the zeitgeist, once they're out of the mind of the consumer, once they become historical artifacts, I need them to continue existing. And these unfortunate things stop those things from existing, right? And that to me is such a detriment. We're going to talk about Crossfire. Not all things need to continue existing, you know?
Yeah.
No, all things. All things.
I do. You're right. You're right.
Keosante, believe me, there's someone that loves
no
everything.
doubt. No doubt. Yes.
I mean, there's people saying Forspoken got a 9. You just said it. There's people saying Forspoken is a 9 out of 10. So you said,
I'm sure some of them. I'm sure some of the moms
of
of the developers.
No, absolutely. No, but genuinely, that's where I come to it from with all of this. Like, and Hogwarts is an egregious example. Like, there needs to be a world, because not only is it that it won't exist anymore, it means you're never actually owning anything. You're just renting it until they decide to take it away from you. That's literally what this means, right? And to your point, Loke, absolutely true. Some games require it and they have a valid reason for it, and some games don't. But even in those instances where some games require it, there is a world that I'm on my own square. You know, welcome to my TED Talk. I'm probably the only one that continues this line. There is a world where you can pressure these developers to then remove the requirements of always online, or remove the requirements of check-in once the game is at its end. Like right now, you bring up Crossfire X. It's going down. I actually saw the story. I was going to bring it up, but we have too many games. But the point about it is, if people cared, if there was pressure on the developer, they could easily remove the requirements of always online, of connecting to their central servers, and make it an ad hoc game, peer-to-peer. You connect to me, I connect to you. That game will continue to exist without anybody touching it, right? They can do that if we care enough about it. Not all games deserve that much attention or care, but I can still play Mario Brothers. I can still play like really old, obscure things that bring me and my children and my family joy. And it just saddens me that the children, the people of the future will not be able to look on the historical artifact that is Halo Infinite in the same way, because it'll just be gone if they choose to turn it off. You know what I'm saying? To me, that's the unfortunate side effect of all of this. Pixelbit G, I see you nodding your head. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Luke. You had something to say. Oh, I guess you agree. Pixel, what is your thoughts on it?
I'm setting HUD to
he's a little delayed.
I think. He put in 500 hours in Crossfire X.
Wow.
Dude,
that's impressive.
So there are some people who care. Some people are shedding Crossfire tears right now. Amazing.
There are to your point, there are bad games. Everybody has different tastes, but in terms of this Redfall non-debate, here is what the developer says about it, right? Every player in the session of Redfall will maintain level progress, gear, and experience points, but only one player, the host, will gain actual story progression. All of this will be tracked via the game's always online internet connection, right? It shows fairness for players, right? So they have a system design reason in order to have this game online, right? So while normally I would look at it like, oh, this is nonsense, right? But games like I think GT7 had a similar issue with their single player online, right? But theirs was tied to their store, right? They wanted real time. I think it was like real time updates for the prices of cars and stuff like that in their store. So they had a reason to do it, right? So I think a lot of times we jump out the window about always online connection, when the reality is that we are always online, right? I personally, as a developer, I don't like that gamers immediately jump at developers about adding these kind of features to their games, and then are immediately requesting them to modify the game before playing the game, right? Because you don't really know how it's going to impact you and how often is just never down. My biggest reason for disliking the discourse around stuff like this is I remember when Crackdown was first announced, right? That game was originally supposed to be an always online connected game, right? The internet went crazy about it, made a big thing about it. But the reason that game needed to be online was because the destruction model was based online.
On cloud computing,
You could not do the destruction model without the cloud service, right? That whole thing. Because Microsoft buckled to pressure and decided to not make it an online game, right? They basically had to scratch the whole game and reboot it, right?
Well, to be fair,
hold on.
That also happened right when Epic came and bought the tech out from under them. You know what I'm saying?
No, not true. The tech being brought out was after, right?
So they'd already made changes before
they had already made changes to the game, right?
Interesting.
The tech demos that they were showing us were tech demos for the multiplayer mode.
Yeah,
but
true.
Go back and look at the original announcement for Crackdown.
Yeah.
Crackdown's original announcement was an always online multiplayer game where you had groups of players playing against the enemy AI and you control parts of the map.
Yeah, I do remember that. I saw that IGN destruction demo where they were just like, they had like the equivalent of how many Xbox consoles it takes to run this. Some of them are like double digits, and they were destroying the whole world. I remember that.
Right, they were bringing new servers online.
To emulate Xbox resources.
That probably was never going to work. But the point is that the game had a very different design at its core, right? So I think if we keep fighting and arguing with developers about online features and things like that, you're gonna lose.
You lose special things. You lose interesting things. Yeah.
But you lose the interesting concepts that could come from those things, right? Imagine if a game like Flight Sim was told, "Oh, you can never be online."
Yeah, imagine. Right. You have to download petabytes of data first before you play.
Right. You don't have a hard drive big enough to play this freaking game.
No, you don't.
You understand?
Absolutely.
So I think it's like we need to really stop fall back with the immediately crying over this stuff, especially when we're all coming online to cry about it.
I know. We're not writing it in newspapers.
I mean, seriously,
So
that's a brilliant point. Brilliant.
Absolutely. No, I completely agree with you. Actually, to your point, Pixel, people remember the debacle that was the original the Xbox One launch. Had they stood on their square, we would be able to trade digital games by now. But because people kept pushing them, because every other thing that Xbox One was about, that people were bitching and complaining about, all the other things have come to pass.
TV is all active right now.
Everything has come to pass, except the fact that you can't trade your digital games because you did not know how to be patient and wait for them to implement it. You want, and they took it away. And now you're stuck.
To that point, fellas, I was watching Patrick Mahomes beat the Bengals on my Xbox.
There you go.
ESPN.
That's right. So, while you're probably gaming in the window, like amazing. You know, I miss those days for sure. Before we move on, Redfall, OBM. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, actually, you both made good thoughts because before the show, I was like, I don't care. I mean, I'm online all the time, anyways. And,
indeed.
Yeah. I mean, I can't remember the last time I've gamed and not been online. So, I understand the concern, though, just from the standpoint. I think people feel like this is like a soft DRM. You know, and the questions and the issue is that like the implementation of this is not the same across the board. You know, people don't know, hey, does this mean when you take servers down or you decide that this is no longer a viable product, that it just goes offline, like you were saying there, Asante, that maybe maybe someday Redfall is just gone because there's not enough people playing it,
so
and you're the last one that wanted to be able to play it. And I do think that is a legitimate concern and complaint, and I think that that's something that as we're seeing, like a lot of these games, even single player games and co-op games get shut down. It's like, I think that's starting to hit people differently, right? And so I do think that there should be some pressure put back on the corporations. It's like, okay, you can demand the online stuff, but I think the support, the fact that they're pulling out the rug so quickly on some of these, I think is starting to concern people about it. So it's like, well, why get invested and then it's
gone? Yeah.
But to what Pixelbit G was saying, there is potential to build a new type of game this generation going forward, beyond just like, hey, we need to check your progress and things like that, with games that are maybe traditionally single player that can leverage I hate to say the power of the cloud because it's such a
cliche term at this point.
Yeah, because Crackdown ruined it, honestly. Let's be honest. Crackdown ruined it. But if you talk to developers, there is potential. Like they'll tell you. I was talking to somebody that said that even with these CPUs being much better than they were last generation, there's still not that enough of a jump to like do any sort of grand thing with like AI and dynamic, open worlds and things that they can do if they start doing the hybrid model, like where part of your game is local and part of it is like the world that you're in kind of like it evolves based on what it's reading from the servers and stuff. And that whole butterfly effect. Remember when we saw that article about Fable 20 years ago in the original Xbox magazine, where Peter Rodder was like, hey, you step on this acorn and it turns into a tree. Well, you couldn't do that. You couldn't do that because of like, even if it doesn't make sense from a gameplay standpoint, number one, but like even taking that concept further, you wouldn't have been able to do that because of the
slap a child and 5 minutes into the game, he turns into an adult and gets upset at you.
Your kids come back and kill you, like all that stuff. But now you can start to do great, like, and I didn't even think about Fable. It's like the first thing that comes to mind. It's like you can fulfill that vision now, but you would need to have some sort of connection.
Always online.
So I don't know how they're going to resolve. Yeah, I don't know how they're going to resolve it because people are not everybody's. I've talked to buddies like, if they say they have to be online for Fable, I'm quitting Xbox. That's what he told me. So like there is a divide there. I understand it. I think the DRM concern is legitimate, but innovation and I think as long as the developers. Yeah, as long as the developers can articulate a good reason why, and it's not just because we didn't have development time to do it any other way. I think you need to try to give give people the option if it exists. But
Absolutely.
I think both sides is got some points.
Agreed. Now, before we move on to the next story, I will first let me put the super chat up here. We have the Xbox International Podcast. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here. They're saying, well, they have a $5 super chat, and they're saying that Everborn is hiding because God of War sold 11 million copies. Yes, for those who aren't aware, EverbornSaga had bet me his knees that Sonic Frontiers would beat God of War Ragnarok by the end of 2022.
Hey.
What you doing, Everborn?
To
What
be
was
fair,
you doing?
add boom to that.
Well, the reason why I will not add boom to the slander
I know.
is because boom graciously bowed out. Whereas Everborn is still on his square, insisting on seeing Frontier data before he'll admit to his defeat.
What?
So yes, shout out to you, Xbox International Podcast. When the reckoning happens, you will be front and center, good sirs. We'll have you guys on, and the ridicule will be glorious.
I want to know what kind of algorithm. You know how like a lot of times what you believe it ends up being reinforced with you on like Twitter and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'd love to see
the Venn diagram of those who
Everborn's
believe
Twitter
that.
page, like all the Twitter feeds that come through telling them that Sonic is the most amazing game of all time. It's going to be the best-selling game of the year. I really want to see it.
So,
I
okay.
just needs to share it someday.
On the point of slander, let's take a quick slander's detour and talk quickly because I saw this pop up on my Twitter feed and I thought it was super interesting. So we'll just kind of toss this in before we move to proper news stories. But there was a little bit of conversation because for those who don't know, MinMax, great YouTuber, podcaster, and all of that, had the director of Hi-Fi Rush on, and two things were discussed that I thought was super interesting. One was awesome that I hope happens, and the other one was slanderous. The thing that was awesome is he said he would love a TV show in this world, and I concur. Where is Netflix? Call him up right now. That would be a great television show. Same art style, same everything. It would be chef's kiss.
I want season 2 of Cyberpunk.
Well, hey, they can walk and chew gum, man. Arcane is still coming. Edge Runners might
Netflix
still be in the wings.
Not chew gum. And dude, they just took 10 steps back from the password sharing thing.
With the password thing. I feel you, bro.
Let's give Paramount a good show.
Oh, hey,
a good
guys, that was a mistake. Okay?
That was a mistake.
Some random dude posted it.
Oh my god. With their account.
With their account. And then the thing they said that was slanderous was there was never a PlayStation version of Hi-Fi Rush. Just so people know that.
That was slanderous. That was delicious.
There was never a version because the game was in the mix in the studio since about 2017, but it went into full production like while they were in full production. Obviously, in full production means development on a PC and optimizing for PC.
Yeah.
That's when the transition happened and they were bought. So there was never an actual time frame where they were like, okay, it's time to now carve out a port and make one for these consoles. It was only ever Xbox, because by the time they got there, they were already an Xbox studio. So I thought that was interesting because I did see some narratives floating around going, well, we can't really give Xbox the credit for this because first of all, this game was thought about in 2017 when they didn't own them. And secondly, there's probably a PlayStation version that's been squashed in a mothballed somewhere, you know. Seems like that's not the case here, folks. So, you know, I mean, personally, I would have liked to see a PlayStation version of Hi-Fi Rush. Why? Because why not? The game is great. More people should play it. But those out there with the slanderous takes, yeah, these narratives are getting dashed left and right. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts about this added thing.
Every game is developed on a PC first.
Yes.
Like I think people don't understand
Yeah.
that. Like there is no such thing as an Xbox or a PlayStation version until there's a PC version.
Yep.
And that's yeah. And at the end of the day, the whole narrative about what counts and doesn't count. You know what? Just release. If you're going to publish games, make sure you release them when they're polished and they're great. And they did. So they did what they needed to do. That's all that matters, right? I think the rest of the conversation is just kind of silly talk about points. Just keep being consistent, releasing them. Hey, if the studio did everything, but you just didn't get in their way, hey, that's a good job too, right? So, yeah, and I do think that it should be noted that like when we saw Double Fine and Exile talk about some of their games that were already deep into development, they did talk about getting some of the extra resources for production values, for voice actors, for getting a little bit more time to kind of flesh out the levels and things like that. And so like all that, like being a good publisher, there's a lot of nuance to that, and every studio is going to need different things. So again, the whole who gets credit, who doesn't get credit. If you release a great game and you're the publisher, you
get the credit.
You get some credit. You get to share something.
It's yours.
Right?
You paid for it.
Yeah.
What? You weren't part.
Doesn't matter how.
Nobody's
How-
sharing this credit, dude. This is all Xbox.
Loke,
No.
you weren't part of the decision-making process when those glasses of yours were made, so you can't count credit for how good it looks on your face. Come on now.
They mine now. They mine. I'm taking all the dubs
I have a
that
great
these
analogy.
glasses give me.
I have a great analogy for this, right?
How to anyone that feels like, oh, it's not really an Xbox game, dude. It is an Xbox game. If it's not really an Xbox game, why is it on Xbox?
Why is it on
It's
Xbox
your
and not on
beloved
PlayStation?
5? Why is it not on your beloved PS5?
Switch, yeah.
It's an Xbox game. Make peace with it. Move on. It'll hurt less.
Make peace with it. Move.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Pixel.
It's so silly. My thing is like, if I want my grass cut and I pay you to cut my grass, my grass. You didn't really cut your grass. Is not cut.
It's
My
not
grass.
really your lawn. It's not really your lawn.
It's not your lawn because somebody else
It's
cut it.
lawn.
You
You
cut
cut
it,
it.
but it's my grass and it's cut. So Bethesda is Xbox grass.
Hey, you know what's more embarrassing about this whole thing? You look at these same people, they're very happy when the inverse happens.
Of course.
And then the exclusive comes to their console. It's like, dude, this doesn't make sense. Your argument makes no
The
sense.
beauty of people being upset about this stuff for me is y'all spent an entire generation saying Xbox got no games, and now Xbox got some games. That's it.
You didn't hear it? One of the first tweets I ever did that went completely viral, and that was shout out to Tim Dog. He kept screaming Xbox got no games, and I was like, first it was Xbox got no games, now it's Xbox got your games.
Yeah, exactly. Xbox,
And people just went to town with that one.
yeah, it's just
That's fantastic.
So shout out to the chat with Lucius Augustus. He says, I saw a lot of Sony and Nintendo fanboys asking for this game to be released and being mad that when people tell them to play it on Xbox or Game Pass. Now they see what Xbox players deal with. Yeah, well, it is what it is. All right, so on the point of Game Pass, I kind of want to take a quick little detour and add this to the mix as well, because that came out, the conversation about Xbox revenues and all the financial reporting that came out and all of that. And that has also been, making the rounds. I didn't want to get deep into the weeds about, a year-over-year financial numbers and what they did and why they did them. But I kind of wanted to thread this needle because I thought it was very interesting because on one hand, you saw this, right? Revenues are down and obviously they need big games, right? And everybody will be like, well, Xbox might need to compete and and all of that, right? But on the same token, right, besides Xbox revenues being down, in 2022, and I will let you guys, ponder and reply to the needle I'm threading here. In 2022, they offered you $7,000 worth of games in Game Pass that you then got as part of your subscription. So I will start with you, Loke. You are our guest here. Yes, revenues are down, hardware sales are down year over year, but they're really throwing some stuff at the consumer. What do you think?
First off, let's go a level deeper with this.
Please.
They didn't just offer you the opportunity to play $7,000 worth of games.
Mm-hmm.
For people that use Game Pass, every single game is 15% or more
Off,
discounted.
Yeah, if you want to buy it. Absolutely, yeah. Most people don't remember that part of the equation. They just think it's just a rental service. Yes, true,
I do.
True.
No, and I'll speak from my personal experience because that's what we're here for.
Mm-hmm.
I used to buy one game a month. because that's what I could afford.
Mm-hmm.
Game Pass. When Game Pass came out, I made the connection, which a lot of the people that don't partake in the ecosystem make, which is Game Pass makes people spend less. I now buy 3 or 4 games a month.
Indeed.
Thanks to Game Pass.
Yeah.
Because the issue wasn't just money. It was also the uncertainty. Because you can have all these great trailers, but sometimes a game can look great, but it doesn't click with you.
Yep.
Game Pass.
The first time we saw Forspoken. I'm sorry, continue.
Forgotten or for broken for whatever pun you can think of, brother.
Forget about it.
Point is, Game Pass removed all the blur, all the fog, all the mystery. Brand new game comes out, you get in, it's a slapper, I'm buying it. And if it's good enough, I'm sending money to Ham Solo so he can buy the physical and then send me the annual box in December. Because they don't sell physical games in Africa.
Yeah, which is terrible. Absolutely terrible.
So first off, the article is not even like computing all the savings that Microsoft is throwing at people.
True. Yeah. Absolutely.
Or the rewards, right? I mean,
the rewards. That's right.
Some of us are playing.
You know what? I just want to say real quick. Pixel, OBM, and everyone in the chat. If you live in America and Europe and parts of Asia that has Xbox rewards, be grateful and use that. Use it, okay? Because we don't have Xbox rewards here. We
Stand
have
on your square, Loke. Come on, that's how I heard from you. You speaking about your experience where you are. Please speak on that. Go ahead.
Yeah, we have Microsoft rewards, and well, we didn't have Microsoft rewards. But now we do, and they're okay. But Xbox rewards is what we're really aiming for. Me and a whole lot of people here in Southern Africa. We're planning something big for 2024. Hopefully, we might end up getting Xbox rewards. We'll see. If not, it'll just be a scene. Point is, the rewards program is fantastic. Game Pass is the nuclear bomb of the gaming industry.
I heard somebody paid for a console with reward points. Like paid for a whole console with reward points.
Yes, and you don't even have to put in like hard work or anything.
Just play your games.
Do like 1 or 2 little tests.
Play your games. Do some things. Yeah.
There you go.
That's it. Yeah.
So I'm just happy that Microsoft is throwing money at this thing, because anyone that knows about Microsoft, forget Xbox. Anyone who knows about Microsoft, they're second only to Google with like starting and abandoning projects.
Facts.
And
that is true.
It looked like they were about to like let go of Xbox, and seeing them double and triple down is good, because PlayStation is great, but you don't want a situation where you only have PlayStation. Oh, sorry, PlayStation and Nintendo. You want to have at least 3, maybe 4 consoles, console options.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is a good thing, and I've personally felt the savings, but I also feel like I've been duped by Microsoft because my statement says that I'm spending more on games. So I see you, Phil.
Bro, I hear you, man. I hear you. I used to be a subscription. I had a subscription service to movies, right? I would go to a movie every once a month. I go see a film, this and that. Then I got subscribed to a movie service. First, it was Movie Pass for the Americans who know, which was doomed to fail, but they were giving you free movies. Watch as many as you want, $10 a month. I'm like, okay, don't say that to an African. I went to like movies every week, but I ended up buying a bunch of popcorn and all this. You end up spending money when the entry fee is free. Yes.
You don't just spend money, you spend more.
And you don't even know you're spending more because that entry price is what used to scare you. But when that's out the way, you end up just spending.
Shady Microsoft, shady.
It's just human nature and how you can get one over on us. Pixel, what do you think? What do you think about this news where, yes, we see year over year it's down, and when people say year over year, it's comparing to last year. What was happening last year? Mid-pandemic. Pandemic. Yes.
Right. So.
Yep. People buying all this hardware, staying home, right? Yeah. Hence, and now obviously, the roles are reversing again. So the numbers looking down is logical, but look at what's going on. They're still providing lots of value. What's your opinion on it?
Well, I mean, I think, even in a down year for their first party, right? I think we need to start reviewing Microsoft's output based on what they're delivering, right? Not just games, but also their services, right?
Yeah.
So I can only look at a console based on my enjoyment of it, right? It doesn't matter what everybody else thinks. Doesn't matter what releases. It matters what games I played on it and how much time I spent on it, right? So I spent a lot of time on Xbox last year, even with PlayStation putting out a bunch of big major titles, which I did play. I also played and beat, right? So I think, seeing that number is crazy. Like,
right? $7,000 worth of games. When I saw that, I was like, yo, that's amazing.
That you're paying, what, $120?
Yeah.
On? And I'm not sure if that's including the PC part, right? Because I'm an Ultimate subscriber.
Yeah, I suspect it's every unique title that's available to the service together. Yeah.
Oh, all together, but yes, okay. Yeah. But it's just crazy, right?
It's nuts.
They're providing a ridiculous service. Those games in that service, there's a lot of highly rated stuff in that service. There's a lot of big titles that come, on the PC side and from the console side into that service. A lot of day one content coming into that service. Yeah. So it's like,
oh, look at that Atomic Heart, man. I bet.
This year?
Oh, brother, dude. I bet if Atomic Heart, if this was a different year, Atomic Heart, they would have never gotten that. Because people are now starting to see that thing is the AAA banger it deserved to be. There's no way they would have put that in game. They would have agreed to that early Game Pass deal had they known. It's too late now. It is a banger. It looks amazing.
You're already signed.
But to be fair, we've been seeing this over and over again.
Yes.
Right? So part of that is advertising, right? Even though, Microsoft sucks at advertising, they are very good. No, they suck at advertising single titles. Let's be real. Like,
for sure.
Arrogant. I think
they're not doing it like that, right? But when it comes to Game Pass, they're really good at keep showing you Game Pass over and over.
Punty said, K. Asante was the Seinfeld of Movie Pass. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. I don't know what you're talking about. No, I'm sorry. Continue.
So this is
what is the deal?
What is the deal anyway?
And a Big Mac Mo just said it in the chat, right? So like, it's a new IP. So the service entry into the service actually helps it, right? It puts eyes on.
Oh yeah, of course it does.
That shows that it would not have been at. Yeah. It probably got the ability to delay itself as long as it has because they've gotten some money from Microsoft.
Oh, of course, yeah. Gives you a little bit of a cushion.
Not like
absolutely.
Give them the service for free, right? So I think, they are adding a great amount of value to the service. So it's surprising that the numbers haven't blown up even more. But we see other services of this nature floundering and slowly losing subs. But Xbox isn't losing subs, right? It's even in a quote unquote bad year. Yeah. The one thing that has been good for them is the service. And then this year, like, come on, I don't even know how many games outside of Game Pass I got time to play because they about to bang so hard this year.
Exactly.
Like, it's ridiculous.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean,
does anybody remember what happened in September of 2022? I have no idea, but it sticks out as the year, as the month that they gave you the most games. Only in September of 2022, they almost gave you $900 in games. In September 2022 alone.
Yep.
Like crazy. Like I couldn't tell you what was happening at that time. I'm sure we could look it up, but when you see it in this way, you're just like, man. OBM, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's First, when it comes to the results, Microsoft did expect to be down from the year that they were, and I think it's a good thing that they were actually down from the year that was because, they knew they didn't have big first party games, and the impact on the business. They knew that was going to have an impact, and you want that to continue. If you're a gamer, there's no reason to try to defend it or anything like that. You want them to have that realization, right? That they got to put out those tempo games to keep sustaining that kind of growth. But yeah, on the Game Pass thing, man, I've said this before, it's something they haven't really marketed very well yet, and I don't know if they will once ABK's in the bagged. I know a lot of the appeal of the service right now is to the enthusiast that does play a lot of different games. Yeah. For me, there's easy value on that stuff, but I think it's maybe a little bit more difficult to the person that does only play Call of Duty, Madden, and maybe Spider-Man every year, right? That kind of thing.
I disagree with that point.
Okay.
I want to give you some pushback on that one.
Yeah.
My brother specifically, one of my brothers, only religiously just buys FIFA, and he plays Ultimate Team all year, and then he pre-orders the Ultimate version of FIFA every year. As soon as Game Pass came out, as soon as I introduced it to him, now he plays all types of stuff.
You're right.
Because before you had to pay up front and then trust whatever you saw on YouTube, and he got burnt a couple of times. With Game Pass, it's like, oh, okay, let me give this a go.
No, you're right about that.
Now, he's losing himself in the Yakuza franchise. He played Yakuza 0.
Yeah, you won't see him for a few months.
Yes, it's over. It's he's not coming to dinners.
That's right, he's gone. He's out.
Yeah,
he played 0, and then he realized that the rest of the franchise is 0, but different stories, and a couple of them have better graphics or worse graphics if it's
the older versions.
Games,
Yeah.
He bought everything.
Oh wow!
Well, and that's the thing that changes over time, right? So and that's the thing. Even with any of these consoles, you win over the enthusiasts first, and then they pull in people. They pull in up more people, and then those people become enthusiasts. The one thing when we talk about gaming growing, the person that considers himself a gaming enthusiast has also grown over the years, right?
True.
These consoles had a much lower ceiling than they used to. So,
and you know what? While we're having this conversation, we're not going to get off of this topic, but I'm going to add another story in there that kind of relates.
Okay.
Not that one. This one. Sony confirming that they will remove the PlayStation Plus collection from all libraries in May. So talking about value to subscription services. Please continue, sir.
Yeah, which is interesting because you probably could have just started a whole nother topic.
I'm threading the needle, my friend. I'm threading the needle. We have too many stories.
So one of the things that when you look at the value, especially if they close AVK and you start to look at every month, I'm looking at 1 to 2, just in the first 6 months, I'm looking at probably on average a couple games that I would have considered buying. Now that doesn't mean I would have actually bought them in the old world, because you would have you're like, okay, I got to budget myself, I got to wait for reviews and things like that. I think that part of the value sometimes is hard to articulate, because just the fact that I don't even have to think about it, I just go download it, play it, and when you start looking at adding it up over the year, even 2 years, the price of the console and all the subscription expense over the course of 2 years, you easily could get that back in just the games and the service, right? If you play a lot of stuff. So when I look at it, it's the console almost feels like it's the cost is offset in a way that it never could have been in the non-subscription model.
Yeah. Interesting.
And I do think that over time, it is interesting that they are kind of I thought Sony started somewhat competitive on that. Not competitive,
it was
but
interesting.
They put out a decent
they were trying.
Yeah, something that made you go, okay, yeah,
they dipped their toe in. I was like, okay, we'll see where this goes.
I actually subscribed.
Yeah.
I was like, I'll give it a year and see what happens. And they they threw what in the cat game day
Stray.
one. I was Stray, the cat game.
Can we agree at least that it's better than the Xbox Live thingy.
Well, yeah, of course. Well, but okay, let us be clear. When we're doing comparisons, Loke, we can compare.
First,
we can compare what Xbox Live Gold versus the first tier of PlayStation Plus, because that's the same comparison. And now with them removing the collection, it's even more comparable now, because all they offer is monthly games. How is it better?
The first tier of PS Plus is still better than the gold games.
Explain.
Well, gold doesn't even gold.
I'll just have to make an Excel sheet for you and then send it on Twitter or something.
I mean,
seriously, dude, I'm traumatized. I used to look forward to
the games themselves. Forget about it. You're right. The games themselves are terrible. Yes, you're right.
I feel like anybody that liked that aspect of gold has Game Pass now. Like, I don't know why you would stop at gold if the free games.
They should have just scrapped it a long time ago.
Yeah, they should have just combined them.
It's unofficially. It's just like on. Yeah, it's a vegetable right now.
It's not even on life support.
Yeah, it's not. It's really not. It's like a dead body. What's that movie? You're carried around the dead.
It's rotting on the table. That's what.
There's flies around it. You're like
no flies. No flies are like, nah. That's nasty. I'm good. I'm alright. No flies.
Slanderous today, man. This is crazy.
So here's the thing, like gold. I think gold is still the it's the entry for the online play, right?
Yes.
Gold
yes.
It's going to become something different.
Just like PlayStation Plus is entry for online play on PlayStation.
Not entirely, right? Because PlayStation Plus is entry for online play and your ability to save.
True. See, this is why I was This is why I was asking Loke to tell me why. Because at least on PlayStation,
in terms of games, they're providing
better quality. Yeah,
actual service. There's a reason that you need to get PlayStation Plus. You can't save, so you gotta have it for that alone.
For that reason alone, yeah.
I feel like people don't usually come to the first tier, the gold or whatever, for the games. It's usually it's because you're forced into that for other reasons. Yep. It is interesting though, because I thought Sony kind of came out and put a decent step forward last year when they brought in Demon's Souls, they brought in Returnal into the service, they brought in Stray, they brought in some gold games, and I started thinking, okay, maybe they're not gonna go all the way, right? Right now they're not ready, they don't have the infrastructure, but they're gonna start giving us some value, and I have like streaming TV services that are not as valued as something else, but I keep them around because there's maybe a couple good shows, right? But now it is interesting that they're pulling away now, because I do think that like this generation, they don't have anything to worry about with the they're going to continue to sell bonkers through the rest of this generation. But you can't underestimate how fast the gaming enthusiasts can turn on a dime, and these generations are over before we know it. We're probably going to be 4 years or so talking about new consoles, and you're going to be, you have one service that's loading up now with Activision Blizzard potentially, probably, and you start thinking about that value, what it is now today versus what it is in a few years when you're relaunching those consoles. So I do think it is interesting that they're pulling away, and I think that would be a mistake for them to do that and try to catch up last second.
Yeah, I was about to go there real quick. So real quick, let's check it out. We have a poll. I put a poll up. I'm trying to ask folks if you've subscribed to PS Plus or not. During Black Friday, they offered me an undeniable deal, so I did subscribe. So I have like PlayStation Plus Premium until 2024. I haven't really played much. I dabbled in Stray for like 5 minutes because I beat Stray on PlayStation. Well, I beat Stray on PC, so I didn't want to really play Stray again on console. I love the idea of the good old school like PlayStation games that are in the service. So that was my reason for going, okay, I'll pay the $40 for the next 2 years or whatever. That was a good deal, right? So let me ask the chat. I put a poll up, as we do. We like to get a little slanders here. Have you subbed to any version of PlayStation Plus? Either yes,
voted
no,
Xbox got no games?
or Xbox got no games. You know, there's always a third option.
Shout out to whoever voted Xbox got no games.
9% Xbox got no games so far.
All right.
You got Xbox Killer in here?
No. So there is one. Like, while we're continuing down this path, and we're gonna keep going down this path. Go ahead, Lo. Yeah.
Some of the people aren't discussing.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that people are being willfully disingenuous or pretending like it's not real, but until the 9th of March, is it? Or is it May?
Until the 9th of May, if you redeem them all, you get to still use them. Yes. But that's not the problem here.
This is not an issue.
No, it is, because after that time, basically you're grandfathering in those who've been there, which is fine, right? If my subscription lapse, I'll never see them again. That's one. And if you sign up tomorrow, you won't get the library. It's kind of messed up.
Subscription lapses, you don't.
Yeah, I don't like that at all.
Yeah.
I mean, right now with Xbox Game Pass, you can go, you know what? Microsoft's not giving me anything. Like, if you were somebody last year that was like, these don't appeal to me, and you let your subscription lapse, and now you're back because you see Redfall and Starfield and all this stuff coming this year. All those first party games at the very least.
All the games you
can
play
count
are
on
still
a
there.
certain.
Yes.
They're still going to be there waiting for when you come back. I do think
that's going to offend someone.
Oh, please.
This
We
feels
love
like a
hot
nickel
takes.
and diming approach to.
Go ahead, Lo. You have a hot take. Go for it.
This is going to offend some people.
Please.
But it's the truth. So, you know how? Okay, the analogy is not going to work. Okay, basically, people have relationships. Okay, if I'm always on the show and I always come here late, and you guys never give me stick for it, I'll never be motivated to change my behavior.
Change your behavior. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Sony have zero motivation
100%.
to be kind to the customer.
100%. Oh, bro,
Because
it's funny you say
they
this.
have.
Yes, they're training their consumers. We say that on this show constantly. That's the reason why. That's the reason why Xbox can never get away with being anything but mea culpa, because they've trained their consumers that way.
With that one, I don't think they're training the consumer, because relationships. If a relationship fails, both parties fail. You can never blame one side.
Sure.
Sony are playing their part, but the consumer's also playing their part.
Exactly. Well, but what I mean by they're training their consumer is, look at like for Forbidden West, right? Horizon Forbidden West. They had trained their consumers to expect upgrade costs, right? Upgrade costs. So much so that when they finally, when people called them to the carpet and went, okay, no, Forbidden West, you said it was free, you're gonna keep it free. Some in the community, I'm looking at you, EverbornSaga, and a few others were like, nah, I'm still gonna pay for this. I'm still gonna pay for the $70 version, because knowing them, they're gonna screw me later if I get the free version. Like, they have trained the consumers to expect their money to be given, and the minute that you do that and it works, no one's got complaints. And as such, they're gonna just keep going further and further, because you don't tell them not to do that. You don't vote with your wallet, as they say, or at least be vocal about, hey, come on now, this is not the way it's supposed to be, right? So I completely 100% stand with you, Loke. I understand that. I just wish, because they're all money-making entities at the end of the day, whether it's Xbox or PlayStation. They're just using strategies to separate you from your hard-earned money. Nobody loves you. It's show business, not show friends, as Everborn says, right? It's just that I like that it seems that Microsoft has come to the realization that, hey, if we're forthright with you, there's more chances that you will give us your dollars and you won't feel bad about it. Whereas Sony's like, screw that. Through hook or crook, you're giving it to us, and we're going to make sure you know that if you don't, you're going to pay. Right? Remember when this...
Sony's saying through hook or crook, you're going to give it to us and you're gonna
like it.
it.
That's
gonna
right.
like it.
That's
Well,
right.
and then Nintendo takes that to another level.
Oh, yeah.
It is interesting. Like, that is the one thing about Microsoft. They've never really cultivated the allegiance,
The shadiness.
I mean, there is obviously very loyal,
Mhm.
Xbox gamers
Of
and stuff
course.
like that. But but I'm saying that, like, in terms of the size of that base, you look at like a company like Apple, like Nintendo, like Sony, when they get to this point where people are going to be there year in and year out just because they rely on the brand, they know it, they're never going to leave it.
Yeah.
They don't know how to live without it. Like that, you get away with a lot more. Microsoft knows people will, they saw what happened with the Xbox One generation. I do
But
think
OBM,
that
I have a
that is
question for you, OBM.
yes, sir.
Give me an honest answer. Do you think if Microsoft had the grasp of the industry's genitals the way Sony does,
If you had
do
them
you
by the
think
cojones.
Microsoft, yeah, do you think Microsoft would still be playing good guy? Be honest.
No. These companies aren't. They're not charities. And I will
Strategic
say,
moves, baby.
Yeah.
I will
As
say,
long as
like,
we're clear on
I've said,
that
Oh, yeah.
Sony is not the bad guy, and
No, it's
Microsoft
business.
is the good guy, and they'll
Yeah.
always be the good guy.
No,
No.
No,
Look
no,
at a few
no.
generations behind when the CEO and the deck chairs were changed. There was some shady
e-
stuff happening. It is what it is.
Even if you like the way Phil Spencer pillow talks you at night or whatever, like the reason why he has that job is because Microsoft knows that they needed somebody like that in that
Yeah.
position because they had Don Matrick before.
Mhm.
None of these
Oh my
corporations are
Donnie.
they're
Donnie
they
D,
all
baby.
answered. We just saw the 10,000 layoffs. They
Yeah.
all answered to the investors. That is the only thing that matters, and the only way you're going to continue. And I've said this before. I want Microsoft to do well enough, like with the Xbox, to continue to support it, continue to grow it, continue to invest in it. I don't want them to ever be so powerful that they don't have to
That they start
worry
going back there. Yeah.
You want them to be on their toes. You
Yep.
want the consumer to keep them honest.
We got to keep them on their toes. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
man.
You're
Like,
absolutely right. Yeah.
And this speaks to the subject that everyone is tired of talking about. But I think now that you've brought this up, OBM, I think this is an important point to put out. The difference between Sony being number one or being number two and then Nintendo's number one is that these companies are not number one in business in general. People like to disassociate Xbox from
with
Microsoft,
Microsoft, yes.
when they're having a discussion
Yeah.
of monopolies. Guys, if Xbox becomes the dominating like platform for gaming, it's not going to be the same as when Sony was number one or when Nintendo was number one, because these companies, they just focus on getting that revenue. Okay, they need to win. They're like the Lakers. They need to win the championship now. If Microsoft is number one, it's like the Clippers. They can keep throwing money at this forever, and no one.
Well, that's probably
get
why
a
the
chance.
FTC and the EU and the CMAs are all scared to let them slide, because they know the capabilities of Microsoft.
Because
Versus
they're having an actual conversation when they're evaluating this. They're not looking at Xbox. They're looking at the
at
whole
Microsoft,
picture.
they're talking to them. They're looking at the books. They're allowed to crack open them books that we never see. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I mean, I think it is fair for them to have concern that Microsoft ruling the industry would be a problem, right?
Yeah.
But we're nowhere near a scenario where Microsoft is going to rule anything, right?
No,
what we're looking
not yet.
for is closer to
Not yet.
parity, right? Where Sony can't pull these kind of things. They
Mm-hmm.
can't freely charge you a sucker tax and you're going to pay it. They can't have 3-year-old hardware.
Well,
we're
it
being
takes-
PG. we
No,
call it something
well,
else.
If I'm giving
And so-
you a minor upgrade for a game that's already out on
Yeah.
similar hardware, telling you this is 4K, that's a
Mhm.
sucker tax.
That's
'Cause
right.
You don't pay
But the grass is a bit greener. The hair fibers are a
Yeah.
bit,
It's a sucker
clearer.
tax. Because if I put that game
Uh-huh.
in my 2060 PC and then move it to my 3060, guess what? The grass is greener. on the
That's
3060.
right. That's like
But I don't
saying
pay $10
that's like
more.
saying, see this movie you're watching it on a CRT. It's all pixelated. The minute you move
Right.
it to 4K, now we gotta charge you more. Even though when I talk about the 4K version or whatever, we'll charge you more just for the idea that you can now see it clearer, which is
Right.
not fair. It's
Well,
not
Well,
a
but
righteous
here's the
reading.
thing,
But
right?
okay.
They're able to get away with a lot of stuff. But I think it's interesting that they're basically complaining about the concept of Activision games going into a subscription service, at the same time removing almost all of their first party games from their subscription service. So people should be asking, what Sony games are actually in PS Plus at this point?
Only really old ones.
I mean, there's a handful. There's a handful of good ones. Like Returnal was one of the reasons
that's still there. Yeah.
I will say, so on your point, Pixel, like so I've gotten this discussion before, and obviously I want to see all these companies thrive. I like seeing them all do well. And like we said before, the competition is going to just be good regardless of what platform you prefer. I have always preferred, obviously Xbox for a couple decades because of Halo and their controller. But, aside from that, one of the things that I've always pushed for is I have wanted to see Sony create their own service. And, a lot of times you hear you'll hear somebody say, well, they don't need to. They can all do their own thing. Like, why do you want them to kind of copy each other? And I guess it just comes down to this. At the end of the day, do you believe that if they continue to just do what they're doing for the next 10 years, that they're going to continue to remain as competitive as they are now? Because it is clear that if Microsoft buys Activision Blizzard, they are going to be a behemoth, and they are going to have these. It's not just the gaming, like what you were just saying. It's they have the AI, they have the servers, they have all these things, these technologies that none of these other competitive gaming companies have, and they are going to be able to leverage that stuff. And so you want to see a company like Sony kind of staying on top of their game, because like I said before, I don't want to see, as much as I like gaming on Xbox, I don't want to see them get to this point where they can just shrug and look back and like, we don't care what what you guys do does not, we don't react to it. It's so far in our own lane that there's nothing you can do to make us react, right? Like, we have our gamers, and the competition just isn't enough to make us do anything. And we see that a little bit with Sony now. I do think that they should be building a service, because I do think that is going to resonate more in a few years, in the next generation. If you look at the trends of beyond just gaming and just see what consumer behaviors, right? Like forget gaming for a second. Look at these generations upon generations, the next wave of consumers that are coming up, how they're raised up, how they interact with different services and entertainment. And they've done a lot of studies on this. They're saying that subscriptions are kind of like, that is the way you're going to keep a lot of these single player games alive, right? Like that kind of stuff. And so now if Sony bucks that and just says, we're gonna do like what Nintendo did, and we're gonna say screw all the trends, and we're still gonna be super competitive, great. Like, if that happens, then that's cool. But I suspect, because like these regulators are trying to say, Sony and Microsoft are closer competitors than anybody else. I do think they need to take that more seriously. And I would say it's probably the only thing that I see from the Jim Ryan regime that maybe I scratch my head about, because I think you can course correct a lot of the other little things, the nickel and diming and stuff like that, right? You change that around, you can change that around pretty quick. But I think the thing like the services is something that is a big pillar of what gaming is going to be for
the differentiator between the companies as well. So that's
I think it's going to matter.
I don't think that Sony's position doesn't appear that they care about services. Their PS Plus is an afterthought. The same way PS Now was an afterthought. These kind of moves tell me that you're not serious about your service, right? Every quarter their reports are showing that their PS Plus subscriptions are going down, including this quarter where they had ridiculous amounts of sales.
Yeah, I'm not.
And then on top of that, you're removing things from your service.
Yeah,
right?
Speaking of services, while we're continuing to talk services, there's a beta. Real quick, Pixel. We're just throwing more stories in because we don't want to miss some of these. Right? While we're talking on services, there's a beta coming out where they're finally adding Discord voice chat. They're adding VRR support for 1440p and more. So they are they are at least trying to add some value to the hardware you've already purchased.
To their hardware, but not to their service, right? I don't.
True.
So my thing is this: to me, Xbox has basically bowed out of trying to do direct competition in hardware, right? They bowed out of that. They're not reporting numbers. Their only focus is service and expanding into an ecosystem, right? They've taken a different approach from Nintendo and from PlayStation. PlayStation does not care about the ecosystem as much. Their PC offerings are a year or two later, right? It's not. And they're not cross-buy, right? They're you can buy our
double
stuff
dippers. Yep.
Because we know you're suckers. Here's another sucker tax, right? So
Stop it! I've double dipped on a few of them. Calm down now.
I feel like jokingly because we know that Sony's games they're not designed for PC. They're designed for console and ported, right? Whereas Xbox games are designed to run on everything at this point.
Like my God! I'm sorry. Let's take a small break here for some slander. Slow-mo's back. Why? Because that dump lasted longer than Crossfire X and Bleeding Edge combined.
Yeah, that's so much TMI,
bro. Thank you for the planet cleanser, sir. We appreciate you, sir.
Oh, jeez.
Oh my Lord.
On that note, please hit the like button if you haven't. We appreciate y'all being here.
Like, y'all.
Damn. All right.
Yeah.
Let's rein it back in.
Go ahead, but yeah. So I mean, it's
Hold on. Before we move on,
Go ahead.
I think it was one bad mother was talking about Microsoft or Xbox potentially nickel and diming games the way Sony does. I think that would be worse than if they bought.
Yeah. No. I was just saying you don't want anybody to get that comfortable where they can get away with stuff like that.
I just want to.
No. I'm saying Microsoft's power. I think their power in the industry would be even more if they pivoted. I'm glad personally. I'm glad that no one in the board sat down and said, guys, let's do exactly what Sony does. Let's just go to the best developers and let's just start buying.
But they can't do that. They can't do that.
Left.
They're a different company. They can't do that.
No. They can.
That would be ridiculous. No, I'm talking about impact wise.
Sure.
They have more like cash on hand.
Absolutely.
Hold up.
To make it so the 5 games that Sony can buy per year, Microsoft could triple.
200.
Buy 20. Yes.
That number.
Yeah.
200.
Which would be worse than just buying Activision, in my opinion.
Sure. Pixel, what are your thoughts? You had something to reply with?
No, to his point. I mean, it's not 5, it's 200, right? I mean,
yeah.
Sony has it's 200 exclusives in a year, right?
No, see, my reason for saying they can't do that is because they are such a big behemoth that even when they mea culpa all day, let's all play together, people still keep looking at them side eye like they're the evil empire. Imagine if they start behaving like Sony. It'd be over.
Technically are the evil empire, right? So it's like, at the end of the day, I think, and this is just a little fair source for people who really want Activision to fail. Game Pass is Microsoft's main focus at this point, right?
Yeah.
In gaming, and it's the second main focus of the business, right? It's not a small thing anymore. It's a big deal.
Xbox is bigger than Windows. Let that sink in.
Services all day, right?
Yeah.
It's cloud, then it's Game Pass,
then
it's Windows, something like that, right?
Yep.
So it's a big deal.
Crazy.
Absolutely.
So if this fell,
Office would be higher. I thought Office would be higher.
I think Office is adjacent. Isn't it? Doesn't the Office has an adjacent budget, but Windows got dropped and like the
Windows is lower now.
Which is crazy if you think about it.
And actually, if you look at the way they're investing and the way they've kind of structured, in terms of like a strategic, like where they're focused on growing, like gaming is higher. Gives them more opportunity.
We're rounding we're about to hit 2 hours, and I want to leave the last hour for the conversation that I know will take a while. So let's blow through some of these real quick and get to where we want to get to, right? So I saw this news real quick, just a quick aside about VRR support and Discord. Hey, I appreciate that. Discord support for this thing is not like exactly the Xbox implementation, so you still actually have to use your phone to make it work, but they're getting there. So I say kudos to them for doing that. let's be real. Their online, what do you call it? The party system and all that on PlayStation hasn't been the best compared to the other platforms, and compared to other platforms. No, compared to Xbox, because Nintendo's is just garbage. But that's neither here nor there. But at least with this way, you can Discord it, and you're far better than you were. Yeah. It's true though. I mean, come on now. They got an abacus. What do you expect? Internet? Get out of here with that. Anyway.
Man.
So I really quickly want to touch on this because folks know when you come on this channel, you're gonna get a lot of tech talk. You're gonna get a lot of this and that. And I'm a VR head, so real quick, let's talk about it. Who is the guy with the thumbs who has canceled his pre-order of the PSVR 2? That's this guy right here. And I will tell you why. It's not because the hardware is bad. It's not because I think it'll fail. None of that. None of that. I have a very self-serving reason for doing so. I'm looking forward to this hardware, but and it ties into this, right? This article came out, said, oh, Sony has slashed their outlook because of disappointing pre-orders. And then Sony came out and said, nah, we ain't done that. What are you talking about, right? But here's where the thing gets interesting, and I'll let you guys reply and let me know what you think about it. I pre-ordered this thing day one. And when you pre-ordered it day one, you went in, you click. It shows you the estimated arrival time. Nothing new. You see it all the time. Whenever something happens, when the first wave is sold out, then the next wave comes online. And when you hit the button, it'll say, no, yours won't be in the launch day. It'll be in the launch window or something like that. And onward. And that's how you know when you're going to get your stuff, right?
Like Steam Deck.
Exactly like Steam Deck. Mm-hmm. From day one, if you try to go pre-order this thing, day one, it's available to you. You can pre-order it from day one. Till this very day, with it coming out with less than a month, you can pre-order it, comes out day one. Tells me it did not sell out of its first stock of pre-orders, right? And I'm buying the version with Call of the Mountain. I'm buying the controller, or the controller dock stand thing, the whole package. I'm a VR head. I love my VR stuff. But this tells me that I'm paying way too much for this thing. Because all told, I was almost at I was encroaching $900. I love it when he does this. He's about to actually me. It's encroaching $900 without the console included, right? You're just talking the headset, the controllers, the headset with the controller. Obviously, it comes with Call of the Mountain, and the dock, close to $900. And I'd say 95% of those games that are coming in the release window, I own them all already on PC on better hardware, right?
Yes, you do.
So my idea went cancel, and I will wait until they start incentivizing people to purchase, because I will still buy this hardware, but it'll cost me significantly less, right? Because if your pre-order is not sold out, that means you're not getting the return that you expect. So in order to entice folks, you're going to have to start forspokening things, give us a deal to get people to try and play it. You know what I'm saying? I will not be the sacrificial lamb to pay almost $1,000 for this thing when it's going to deeply get discounted shortly after its release. That was my self-serving reason for canceling it. I'm still excited to play it because from a hardware perspective, it is still very much an amazing looking device. I'm hoping and praying against all hope that they then add that small announcement that it's also available, compatible on PC. Oh, that'd be chef's kiss. I'd be buying that thing yesterday. But I don't think they'll do that. So for now, I kind of want them to woo me a little bit. Now, Loke, I don't know how you are with VR. I don't know if you're a VR guy, whatever, but I'm sure you keep your ears to the streets. You heard this news. Was this nothing, no big deal? How did this grab you, this whole news of their disappointing pre-orders and all of this? Loke, are you there? Uh-oh. We might have lost him.
Just a bit mixed,
Okay.
On one hand, I feel conflicted because it's like the first VR didn't, it barely passed 1 million.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And you guys, I don't know if you guys know anything about procurement, but that's what I work with.
Great.
When these companies make projections,
mm-hmm.
that means they've already signed the checks.
Mm-hmm.
They've already spoken to the companies, the suppliers, the, the warehousing, like all the cost to acquire and assemble has already been like signed for. Maybe not paid, but it's already been signed for. And canceling that that PO or purchase order could get them in court.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Contractual obligations and all
My
that.
question, my question is, no one sat down and said, guys, let's get 1 million, all right, or let's make 1,000,002. Let's make the official projection 1,200,000. Why would you predict over double?
So
Or
look,
over double the sales?
let me sweeten the pot of this story for you and add a little bit of color to this and to your point, right? Myself and EverbornSaga, we were back and forth when they increased the price of the console everywhere, right? We were on this show, and EverbornSaga, and he's not here, right? So I'll throw a conspiracy theory that he gave just for the sake of the air, the virtual air we're breathing here. There has to be some conspiracy theories. He was convinced that because they increased the price of the console, they were doing that to subsidize the price of the PSVR 2. I told him he was out of his damn mind because you're talking about Sony here. There is no way they will leave money on the table, right? Because this device, as expensive and as quality as it is, and you're talking to a technologist, I have done some deep digging into this device. It is worth that and more of their asking price. It is very much so. Very much future looking, a lot of great technology in there. But just because it's worth it doesn't mean people are going to pay for that, right? It needs to be enticing to them. You know, people don't buy Samsung phones for $3,000 every year, right? You subsidize. That's the market you're in. Sony refused to subsidize this. Everborn was convinced this would come in under what? He was convinced it was coming under $300. I'm like, you're smoking something.
Yeah, he was told he was out of his mind.
You know, and here we are.
It's doing no favors for anyone this
right? And here we are. They don't have the games because all the games they have are games that are already playable elsewhere, except for maybe 2. Call of the Mountain.
I think it's 4.
It's 4. Okay. Call of the Mountain. There's one that they made the exclusive, and there's probably 2 more. Yeah. But besides that, all the others are either like ports from Quest or other platforms that are VR. And by and large, they do roughly the same thing. So, you know, what is your thought? And you work in procurement, so you'll have a unique take on it, Loke. What are your thoughts on the idea of subsidization? And like, did they want to actually sell this thing? Because the price is just cost prohibitive. You know, not even taking the PS5 console into account. What are your thoughts?
It goes back to what we're talking about, abusive relation.
Abusive relationship.
The idea is, we have a fan base of what is it? Is it like 100 million now? We have a fan base of close to 100 million, and we can assume that 10% are fanatics. So that's 10 million. Someone made a calculated bet that, oh, we can get 2 million from the 10 million to buy this thing just because it has the PlayStation logo on.
Ridiculous.
But for me, again, you don't need a spreadsheet. It's rule number 1 of creating a budget versus creating a projection. You go off of your previous data. Did no one sit down and go to freaking IGN? Let's say the guys don't have their own internal math, all right? No one went to IGN, no one went to GameSpot just to see exactly how many PSVRs were sold over years. And you're gonna double that, seriously.
And if you've lost if you've lost me at pre-order, it's a wrap, because I am your target audience. It's me you want, right? I have a Valve index right here because I know that a Tesla Model X must exist before the 3 can exist as well. So I'm okay with that. You lost me. That's a problem. Huh?
Well, besides the lack of basic admin work done here, for me personally, I'm excited for the future of VR, but I don't think it's worth my money right now, because like you said, you're like a big technologist. For me, I'm like a mini technologist. I want the stuff when it's
When it's
working,
baked. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
and when it's baked.
Of course. Yeah,
I'm not trying to
I'm a
catch it
tinkerer.
midway.
Absolutely. I'm a
And
tinkerer.
then,
That's what I do. But yes, not everybody
this is
has
a
to be
bad
that way.
product, but
Yeah.
if they do this, if they do that, it'll be so much like better. And then the little better iteration, like even cell phones, dude. I buy a cell phone every 2 to 3 years. I'm not like people that buy a phone all the
Yeah,
time.
me neither. Yeah.
I can go 3 years, same phone. It does everything that I need it to do. So whatever.
Yeah.
So personally, this is whatever. I just
Yeah.
hope that this doesn't disincentivize or demotivate the guys at Sony, because I think VR
Is the future.
the most immersive version of gaming, and I would like it to reach to reach like its pinnacle,
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
And bad outcomes, bad financial outcomes for these companies mean more than bad like PR and all this other stuff. These guys, well, I thought Sony paid attention to the numbers, but clearly someone's not paying attention to the previous numbers of the PSVR. I hope they don't take this as an excuse to maybe like take a back seat in the
Mr.
VR,
Joanna Dark
industry.
dropping some very interesting knowledge here. Great idea, sir. They
I
should
agree with Mr.
have
Joanna Dark.
incentivized them by offering like a
Yes.
PSVR collection to PlayStation Plus subscribers to
You
incentivize
just
the
stole one
purchase.
thing I was going to say. Yeah,
It's oh boy, that would have been something
been good.
special. Absolutely. Go ahead,
'cause-
OBM. What do you think?
I mean, I'm not a VR person. I've never even tried it, so I don't want to, disingenuously try to talk about what I know about VR and where the potential of it. But the thing I can relate to, I think any of us guys who've been around a while, is you've seen products. You've seen how products become mainstream over time, right? And there is a process to, like, when you talked about subsidizing, like that's the thing that hits me. It's like, what is really the strategy here? Is like, when I look at it from an outsider, it is, when I've heard people talk about this VR, like they'll say, hey, it's worth the money if you understand the technology. The thing is, the average consumer
does not.
doesn't understand
Yes.
the technology.
Hence the
they
subsidization.
just,
Yes.
it's like, this is the money I'm going to pay. This is what I'm going to get.
Yep.
And
The last
and
one was
I-
300 some odd, 400 some odd. Why is this one 6 to 7? Nope. Bye. I'm
yeah,
out. I'm moving
it's
on. Yeah.
very difficult to articulate that. I think these things that are better, and I get it. It's an enthusiast product right now, but I do wonder how, like, what's the strategy for growth? And the first thing that strikes me is like, why isn't this compatible with PC? Like, you kind of, like, whenever you do that, you kind of dilute some of the risk, right? Some of the costs.
The
Maybe
minute
can-
you say it's compatible for PC, you got me again. The
Yeah.
minute you say
I mean,
that.
because you're now it's now a more versatile device. There's more benefits to it.
So that
And
way,
then
when
the
you
other-
drop it, when you inevitably drop it like a bad habit, I can still keep using it because PC is here, right? It doesn't turn into a paperweight because you guys have decided you've cut loss, which
Less
is what will
risk, right?
eventually
As a-
happen, right? It is
as,
what it
as
is.
a consumer, there's less risk that
Yes.
way, and you can go play other things. And then the thing is that Mr. Joanna Dark said it, and I thought about this, and I actually, when I've thought about Microsoft, and I'm kind of glad they're not in it, just because I'm not a VR guy, but I always thought about, the one thing that would have been really cool if they did get in is because of a thing like Game Pass. Maybe
Yes.
now, you make this investment. And as the consumer, it's like there's a lot more value, right? Like you can, these things that are like maybe smaller experiences that can get really pricey to try out. Suddenly, you now open all that stuff up, and you just create the value. You expose people, right? Like you just give them more reasons to, like, hey, I can pick up this device. I'll be able to try out all these like little different things and really open themselves up to the world of VR. I think the problem that VR has today is, it's not just the sale of the device. Most metrics around gaming is most of what people look at is engagement, and these experiences that people can only experience them for a short periods of time. They're usually smaller games. And so like they're as far as that becoming part of their lifestyle, it's hard to get that ball really rolling, right? And so I think if you put a bunch of these games into a service like the PS Plus, suddenly people are going to be more.
It becomes more
if you have a new game.
Yeah.
If you have a new game in there every month, people are going to be like getting on their VR headsets, talking to their friends about it every single month.
I hate you. You know what?
So I think
let us move on from this VR story because we have right around one last hour, and I want to spend that hour on what we're here to talk about. But before I do, I will say a few things. I will say once again, thank you guys for being here. The chat is amazing and lively. Get them likes up. We had over 100 people in here. I only see 60 some odd likes. Please get the likes up. And I will also disagree with you, Pixelbit G, in the chat, and tell you, nah, homie, Minecraft demo is not the biggest thing. Play some Lone Echo, sir. You have a beastly PC. Play some Lone Echo. It'll change your life. But let's move on and talk about what we are here to talk about, which is the turmoil at Microsoft and 343 and Halo, many of our favorite games. Now, we all come to this in different places in our lives, but I will tell you that I would say by and large we are all some levels of Halo enthusiasts and or fans here, right? Some of us are lore masters. Some of us, you had us at Halo, right? So let's start from the top. Loke, I will. Well, you know what? I'll save you for second. Let me start with the man OBM because he has a lot to say on this right here.
Look at those headphones, man.
He has a lot to say. We've been talking to the DMs. There's just so much stuff in the background that has caused it to be where it is. I'm not gonna belabor the point. OBM, what are your thoughts here? Where we are?
Man, you just kind of opened it up like that. Well, I'm going to try not to talk for the next hour. And if anybody really wants,
give me your high level when you first heard this.
Okay.
When this all dropped, there's been rumor and speculation for a while. Oh, they're going to Unreal. Oh, this is happening. Oh, that's happening. And now all of the rumor and speculation has all been basically crystallized, right? Was your first thoughts,
together,
yep,
right?
I knew it, or son of a, how'd you take it?
Well, the thing is, if you've had your ear to the ground around 343 and Halo, I think a lot, really, there's nothing super new that came out in the last few weeks. A lot of it just kind of came together, right? Because a lot of these things, they've been building up to this. And even if you didn't have the confirmation of things, you can kind of see, where things are trending, right? Like if you have any understanding about game development, kind of like what's going on with Halo, it's like you could see things are changing. And on our podcast on Thursday, by the way, if you guys want a really deep dive on Halo, we spent 2 hours on You Had Me at Halo, and high level, I'll throw out the topics because maybe people can run with some of these different things. We talked about the Schreier article, had the whole thing in front of us, and
which is right here, what you're looking at on screen.
Talked about how he debunked the rumors by basically slightly rewording the rumors in a little bit of a different way, which is, anyways, always like to dunk on Schreier when you get a chance. But so we talked about that, and we also obviously spent some time talking about the Unreal Engine and really why I think they are cornered right now when it comes to that aspect. And then the other big topic was the Tatanka, the CA mode, and what we thought about that.
Yeah.
So
go
ahead.
Get us from the top. Get us from the top. So I know that Tatanka has gotten a far more of a more tentacled beast than it started off rumored to be, right? And of course, Schreier's always out here taking his L's and his W's when he can. We see that happening. But
he takes more dubs than L's.
Well, but you know what I will do?
He debunked the rumor by slightly rewording it.
So let me. First and foremost, let folks, and I've said this before, I haven't been blocked yet, but I've said this before. He is he is a great journalist, like one of the greatest journalists we have in gaming. maybe not one of the best humans, but still,
yeah,
he's the greatest journalist. So when he puts it out there, I have no reason to deny it or anything like that. Now, when you have debates and conversations with him, he tends to be a little bit less than
or when he discredits people, right? Like Bathrobe Spartan came out a few weeks ago, and I really don't think that anything that he said, if you were to like read his thing, what people did is they summarized what he said, or they maybe interpreted some of what he said and took it in directions that I don't think it was intended. Like 343 is still going to be the developer, are going to be the leads of Halo. Like that didn't change. What a lot of the rumors that what people were expecting as of a few weeks ago when the when we kind of like first we're hearing about these rumblings is that 343 is going to become more of a, like they're going to rely a lot heavier. They're going to rely on other studios to do a lot more heavy lifting in development, right? Like they basically, you can think about like how Microsoft has World's Edge, how they have even the Initiative and even Playground. It's like these like you have your creatives and then you have these studios that they're working with.
They basically become project managers of that IP.
Yeah, and that's still, yeah, and that's going to happen. They're going to continue to support the multiplayer for now. We don't know how long that's going to be, but I won't get into like how we got here. Like I think that's been belabored to death, right?
It's already been out there. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we know leadership couldn't agree. Like I mean, they couldn't get on the same page. That's been all three Halos. It's documented. It's on and off the record.
So we're gonna get back around to some more subtopics here on, but Lucius Augustus drops a good super chat. Thank you, sir. Which is a point that I was gonna bring up, but let me read it here. Thank you, Lucius. He says for $5 super chat. Thank you. He says 343 had zero plans for a single player. What was the team of almost 100 people doing for over a year? What the hell was going on over there?
So Lucius brings up a good point, and let's start with that one.
Donation.
Because this is where I think we're getting into some semantics with the Schreier kind of shooting down some things.
Lay it out. Yeah.
They were absolutely planning on, whether they called it DLC or something else, they were absolutely planning on building on Infinite's campaign. The reason we know this is because there are people that were interviewed for those positions to do that, and there were people that were with the Infinite project that have off the record said that's what they were going to be doing. Okay. Now, they never... For like a lot of times when development ends, it takes a while before you really start to build levels and things like that, right? Like you start to game plan what you're going to do, and they never really got that far into it. So like it never really technically started development, but it was in the plans.
It was in the ideation phase that was going to be turned into a plan. Okay. Yeah. Because when I heard that, and I think even what's his name, Jez said that as well. Like the people who the reason why they didn't cancel their single player edition or DLC because it was never in the plans in the first place. I'm like, that's even worse than where we are now. Like to think that they were never even thinking that, to me, that's just madness. I don't.
Yeah, well, they then things started to turn, right? Like they started to realize that they were struggling to keep up on content, and like there was a pivot early. So yeah, technically they never started to develop it, or like it never really got that far into it. But before the game release, that was the plan. And there is people behind the scenes that were very credible that said that was the case. Okay. Now they did they pivoted pretty quick to basically say we're just going to build another campaign, which turned into let's start looking at different prototypes and things like that. And that's what a lot of these people that were laid off were doing. They were actually the ones that were like trying out Unreal again, trying to see what they, kind of proposing different ideas of where this campaign was going to be. It was going to be now a full-fledged new campaign, but they didn't know where it was going to go, right? And then you kept seeing other changes. So September, is when Pierre took over. And I think one of the interesting thing is now, like after Staten's been moved on, everybody's going, oh well, of course that was always in the works, because that's what Staten does. He lands the plane and then he goes off. I don't think that was the case. This is me giving you my opinion because this is not confirmed. I don't think that was the case. When they reorganized in September, and Bonnie Ross was officially no longer the head of 343 and Pierre took over, Joe Staten took on a new title as like the lead of creative, and then you brought in Bertone, who was like this
right?
Bungie employee. We talked about that.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. And guess what? Bertone's not there right now.
Yeah, they all took them away again. So,
So whatever they were thinking they were going to do in September changed again.
Got squashed.
And I think what's happened is they just have come to the conclusion. Unfortunately, we talk about technical debt a lot of times with the Slipspace game engine. I think there's more debt than that when it comes to 343 and Halo. I think they have a lot of mind share debt. They have a lot of toxicity that's around that studio. And like you talk to people, like you talk to a developer, like, hey, would you ever consider going to 343 even though you're a Halo fan? They'll laugh at you. It's like, why would somebody who has talent that can go anywhere, especially in this remote workplace, go work for a place that has that sort of baggage? Like, they don't need that. And that's that is one thing I think that needs to be emphasized. There's been a lot of, there's been some people will say that some people think have credibility that have come out on Twitter and said all these developers don't care about Halo. Like, that isn't true. Like, the reason why these people stayed through that, the full-time employees, not the contractors, that stayed through all this stuff was because they wanted to be the ones to bring it back. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. And right now, because of the contractor situation in Redmond, where they have short contract terms, combined with the fact it takes a long time to ramp people up for Slipspace, combined with the fact that they should have invested in Slipspace and built up that studio with full-time employees a long time ago, it's a lot of these things are too late. And so now I think the best way for them to move forward today is to, first of all, start using some tools that most developers are familiar with, most support studios can hit the ground running with. And also you're going to have to, I think, doing this thing where you partner more with other studios for projects will allow them to dilute some of the pressure that comes with working on Halo. I think 343 working on another campaign, that you got to imagine, like, by now, like, the pressure would just be like
through the roof. Absolutely.
Insane.
Yeah,
so now you can kind of branch out and try.
Let me ask you one crystallizing question, and then we'll start getting some other opinions as well in the mix here. Where we are today, I am a single player loving of Halo. I'm a single player lover of Halo.
Yeah.
Will I see another Halo type, whether it be Master Chief or not? Will I see it a single player? And I'm specifically focused single player because we know Pierre got the multiplayer. They're going to keep that running. It is what it is to keep that going. Will lovers of the single player campaign ever get some attention in that way in this generation? Or are we at the point now where it's like, well, Zelda, Mario, mothball them until the next console or next gen? Because that's what this is to me.
Yeah. So nobody knows right now. I don't think there's even rumors right now in terms of like targeted, like even if they know exactly what's going on.
Tatanka was started as a mode, to my understanding, and became a bit bigger. So will we see that on the series consoles in the next, I don't know, 3 years? Because they've already been working on it for a little bit.
Yeah. So I will say, like, Tatanka is a separate animal, and we don't know.
Because that's my saving grace now.
There's some rumors that the BR part, the fact that it was like initially going to be something very BR-like, is probably changed significantly.
Yeah, they said they've increased
I think
the
Schreier
scope,
even
right?
mentioned that.
Yeah, they said they
but there's
increased
even
the scope.
Well, there's people behind the scenes that were saying the BR thing was not like necessarily, people didn't think they were nailing it, or that wasn't really
okay.
Yeah, that wasn't really. So again, that's rumors. But then you read the Schreier thing, and he goes, well, they changed, and so I don't know what that means. Like, can CA pivot to something like completely different, big but different? I mean, who knows? I will say this though, like, because I obviously, like, pivoting to Unreal means that they're going to have to take longer for development, but it isn't starting from scratch. I think that maybe is miswording things when they say like they have to start all over. You can still take assets. You can take Halo assets. It's built in the same programming language, and they can take a lot of those assets and move them over into Unreal. It takes time. They're not going to port Infinite over, but I think you can. It's not like everything is lost, right? You can still take over a lot of what you have. We just don't know what the next ambition level of the next campaign is. If it's going to be, if they want to try to do an Elden Ring thing, it probably is next generation, right? Maybe it launches with that. But if it's going to be something where they're like, hey, we're going to work with different studios, maybe experiment a little bit, maybe do an ODST type of scale,
I would
right?
wait for that for so long. Any kind of in the world kind of game that's not necessarily always about Master Chief, you know. But you know what?
Yeah, I mean, there's so much opportunity, right? It's like they said it was going to be like Star Wars, or that's how that's how Phil Spencer envisioned it years ago.
Was talking about it. Yeah, I heard that as well.
I mean, but it's not right now. It's one game and one genre most of the time, by one team, and with these bases that are pulling against like a split in the base that basically can't decide if they want Halo 3 for the rest of their lives or something completely new and innovative. And so that's the challenge they can fix.
So I hear you. Let me go to Loke next, and I'll save the Lore Master for last here, because I know the Lore Master also has a lot of things to say about this. Loke, what is your relationship with Halo? And I know you follow this. What were your thoughts when it all came out?
I thought I was gonna present a hot take here, but I feel very relieved because I also consume Halo the way you do, which is
single player
only.
Yeah, I'm a single player gamer. That's what I do. Yeah,
zero interest in multiplayer.
I like their multiplayer. The problem I have with it is I'm a dad. You can't pause the game. I got things to do. I just can't. I cannot be. I have little ones. They're running around. So I've played those campaigns like from top to bottom, countless times, and it saddens me that Infinite may be the last one for Lord knows how long. What do you think, Loke?
Yeah. So, yeah. You were saying they should maybe pivot. Sorry, one bad mother was saying that they should maybe pivot to making a story that's not focused on. I think they should go. I think they need to look at Mario for inspiration. This franchise is not just first-person shooter and RTS. We can do more with Halo. Give
Halo
us
platform game?
Third-person shooters. Give us just give us platform games. Give us just narrative games that give us backstories on things like the Covenant and the Flood and the Forerunners, etc. There's so much to just dig in. Just leave Master Chief for the next console, but don't leave the Halo universe alone. Get in there, give us one AAA quality game in different genres every 2 years until the next console cycle. I think that's
shout out to the man Ham Solo in the chat. Appreciate you for being here, sir. What's going on?
Damn.
Yes. No. So you're on my page. You think they need? That's the same thing I said. I was on a podcast when this whole thing first started, and they were like, "What do you think?" I say the first thing they do, you're gonna mothball Master Chief. Fine, mothball him for a while. First call you make, go to Netflix, ask for a show. I want to, whether animated or not. I want probably animated. I want a show in the in the Oni universe. In the like what they were, because as we all know, well, the lore masters, as you know, the Spartans weren't created as the savior of humanity. They were created to quell humanity. They were created to squash humanity. Let's talk about that, right? Before the Covenant showed up and da. It doesn't all have to be this Master Chief story, and it saddens me that may not be where we go. Like it seems like they have. Every time they touch it, it turns to crap. So now they just don't want to touch it anymore. Pause. You know what I'm saying? Like, it feels like they've come to the realization that they are not good stewards of this thing, and every time they try to do anything, it ends up like with mud in their eyes. So maybe we'll leave it alone for a while. And I'm just like, how is that cool for the fans, man? Especially fans like me who love this franchise, but not necessarily in the, give my life to it every day, like, shooty shooty bang bang kind of way. I like my stories, my story time. You know what I mean? Like, look, do you see a world where this thing comes back in any kind of real fruition, where people are like, yep, it was good that they brought it down because now we see what they were trying to do? Do you see any kind of like redemption arc for this thing? Oh boy.
Look, if I'm putting money on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
This might be it.
Oh, you're gonna make me cry. It's the same
I'm
thing as the
serious. If
Titanfall
I'm putting
3
money on it-
news we heard.
And I'm saying it because I'm looking at Xbox's history.
Yeah.
They're not very good at failing, pivoting, and then continuing with said franchise. Sometimes they don't even try. Just look at what they did.
I will hear your point and say,
Hold on.
Sea of Thieves.
Look at what they did. No, that's what I'm saying. When I say this might be it, what I'm trying to say is that we might not see like another story game, a single player game for like the rest of the generation, because the multiplayer, or contrary to what people are saying on Twitter, the multiplayer is full of people.
Yeah, it's working.
People are playing.
It's working.
The
Forge has
hell
helped
out of
it.
Halo.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It's working.
Mm-hmm.
So you look at how publishers now have a vested interest in just keeping games running for the sake of running. That not all of them are looking for games like Hi-Fi Rush that they have a start, a middle, and an end. They want to have recurring income and recurring spending, recurring player counts, etc., etc. This is the holy grail nowadays. So I don't see any motivation for them to sit down and be like, yo, let's get 100 million, let's get 50 million, and let's crank out stories. They don't see any motivation, in my opinion. I would like to see it in the future, but I wouldn't be shocked if we didn't see it.
Man. All right, well, come on, Lord Master, hit me with it. I know you have a lot to say. Pixelbit G is the online Twitter. He's the Spartan. You see him out there. He's all about the Halo universe. Reads all the books. I've read a bunch of them. I think you read more than I have with it, though.
We might get Banjo-Kazooie before we get the next Halo story.
Oh Lord! See, now Halo's on the floor. He's stepping on it. He's stepping on it. You know.
He's doing the ground pound on it.
He's
now.
doing the ground. He just put the people elbow. You know what I mean?
And I took out both armbands, so I done it twice already.
Slap him off. No doubt.
Pixel, what are your thoughts, man?
You know, he may be right. Like,
oh God, y'all
sadly,
just killing me.
We are what are we, like, almost 3 years into the generation. Generation lasts about 7 years. So I think I had said this to you before in like a private chat, that like, if we didn't see, this is before the news of everything going haywire, right? If we didn't see some kind of announcement for a single player campaign by E3 this year, we wasn't going to see one for this generation, I don't think, right? So now that they've fired everybody, I mean, I don't see how you restart a Halo game in a new engine. Well, I mean, maybe because you get rid of most of that staff because all of them were using the old engine, right? So like every Halo game has ever, including Infinite, is based on Blam, right? That's the Blam engine, right? And so is Destiny, right? So the two Destiny games are also derived from the Blam engine, right? So there's a specific set of developers who work on that type of game engine, right? So from what I understand, the biggest issue moving Halo to something like Unreal is, recreating the sandbox moments, right? The way that the physics engine works in that game, right? So it's something that we generally don't we don't talk enough about because we're so used to it. But like crazy things happen in Halo because Halo has this very specific way of handling its physics, and that's what creates like these moments that we remember, right? You like, I threw a grenade, the grenade hit a coil, the coil shot up, it hit somebody in the face and blew up, right?
I mean, Halo Infinite, you drop a grenade next to a warthog, the warthog starts flying, you grapple shot it, and now you're flying across the map with the warthog hitting areas you couldn't even get to. Like,
exactly,
absolutely,
right? So those kind of interactions, you cannot put out a Halo game in any other engine and not recreate that fun, right?
Yeah, I agree.
So
like that is core to Halo.
That's core to Halo. More than shooting, more than the speed of Spartans running, that's core to the experience.
I see what you did there. The speed of Spartans running, oh Lord. That was a thing.
I gotta go back because there's always, Halo has always had its thought, right?
Oh Lord.
So for me, I think a lot of time and effort is gonna have to go into, recreating that feeling in Unreal. And I don't know, like you can put together a Halo map in Unreal fast. It's not a big deal, right? They have their tools are really good at that kind of stuff, right? But recreating a physics model is not a simple thing. It's not something that you could just do overnight. It's going to take a very long time. So,
well, even in the movement and the shooting, because I talked to somebody that actually used to be at 343 and like said that they did. And I think this is on record now too, that they, back with Unreal Engine 4, they did try it and they could not get the feel down. Now, does that mean it's impossible? I don't think it's impossible.
No, it's not impossible.
But I think because Unreal, most developers kind of work with a top level, the GUI or whatever, and like basically the way they interact with it, they're not coding down to the metal like they used to. And so right now, like just with the templates and everything they have, it doesn't necessarily, none of it fits into Halo today. It doesn't mean it can't be heavily modified though, and maybe they can figure it out. And that's got to be our hope, right? That they figure that
Unreal is still a C++ engine, right? You don't have to use the visual designer for it, right? You don't have to use any of the template stuff.
Correct.
You can actually go in Unreal and create new templates for it, right? So it's an extensible engine, right? So they would literally have to take the physics model from Blam, convert that into, something that can be read in Unreal and work and still be extensible, right? Meaning that I can drop it in to a scene and then add additional programming on top of it from there, right? So there's a lot of time and effort involved. So I don't see them doing that quickly. That's the first thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and that's just boring programmer stuff, but it is what it is.
No,
right?
this is exactly the reason why we have you on. This is great. Yeah, go ahead, Loke. What were you had a question, Loke?
Go ahead.
For One Bad Mother and for Pixel, because you guys seem like you're really deep into Halo. I love Halo, but clearly you guys love it more than I do.
I brought them here for a reason. Yes. Go ahead.
Yeah. My question to you guys is: would you be satisfied if they made like another Halo game? I don't know, maybe 15-hour campaign with the same engine. Would you guys be satisfied?
With Slipspace.
I would have been fine with it. There are things. So I love the Halo Infinite campaign.
Me too. I think it's great.
Player as well. So like I said earlier, I'm on my third run through the campaign, right? So I love the campaign. Like the way it plays, it's just a great feeling Halo game, right? So if they were to continue it, I'd be fine with it. I'd buy that campaign. But I'm not the majority of the users, right?
Yeah, that's a challenge, right?
I'd buy that campaign for sure. Yeah.
Well, and that's the challenge, because like I said it on our show in the past. Like I am a Halo gamer that I want the sandbox. And in fact, I was even saying, as they move forward and they ditched the Xbox One, which I think was a big problem in this whole development debacle, that I would love to have just seen them blow up the go back to, like, remember the first time you dropped down the beach on the silent cartographer, or you saw the multiple scarabs and all the vehicles, and like those big like water cooler, it's almost like seeing a big water cooler cutscene, except you're playing in the middle of it with all these physics and explosions and things like that. And I think they couldn't do that because of the Xbox One, and I was hoping they would be able to do that in the next step. The challenge, though, is I think today when you talk about narrative driven campaigns, like the audience for that, like the people that buy God of War and they buy Red Dead Redemption 2 and they're maybe playing the Halo campaign, they're not into the multiplayer, and they are somebody that's not necessarily doesn't have the history of the game with the game. Those visuals really do matter, right? The production values matter. And I think that's kind of like where they could get stuck, because they tried to do that a little bit with Halo 4, go blow it up, get more detailed with the visuals, but they really had to compromise the campaign.
One of the best looking Halo games to date.
But it's
Halo
the worst
4?
playing. I will swear
true.
to God.
Yeah,
it is the worst playing.
It is the worst playing Halo.
The details on display in that game are insane.
Halo of the Halo. If you look
it
at
doesn't.
the Halo 4 campaign, where's the interaction?
It doesn't.
There are very few in-map interactions in that game.
No, right? It feels like your typical narrative, story-driven. Yeah, except you're in first person in Halo, but the challenge is, I think that's the thing to think about too with Unreal, because when Halo was first, like, people were first showing videos of it, you saw the Twitter warriors like doing screenshots next to other really pretty games. We won't name all the names of them, but just because you have a grapple shot doesn't mean these are like doing the same things. It's like, so even as they take it to Unreal, I think, like, when you think about the processing that it takes to run all the AI of all the little different things that are running around, have different roles within the environments and can run around these environments, the physics, the fact that you can grapple shot onto like any sort of like physics object in the universe. Yeah, like all that stuff. Yeah, it's going to take away from visuals anyways, and so I don't know that. I think the reason why they're moving to Unreal isn't because it's going to perform better. Anybody who thinks that, I think they don't understand.
I think they're moving to Unreal probably because they just need more hands in the pot and a lot more.
They need more developers, right? Yeah. They need developers who hit like. Yeah. Unreal has its own tech debt. It's going to have its own draw pluses and minuses, just like any game engine. Yeah. The difference is that there's a lot more developers you can reach out to. They can hit the ground running faster. They can build things faster.
But so on that point, and we'll diverge a bit more into some tech talk, because I like that.
Then you can pass it. Let me finish my thought, but go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I want Pixel to weigh in on this one. On that point, are we weary of everything going to Unreal? Like, everything going to Unreal, everybody pushing
on other shows, right? Like, I am not even as I am in the process of doing something in Unreal, I am not happy with the idea that everybody is on Unreal.
Unreal, but let's be clear. And I did a bit of research on that. When we say everything is on Unreal, only 12% of the environment. 26% is actually Unity. But in the AAA space, it seems like everything is going to Unreal. Won't that become a problem later?
Look at Microsoft's portfolio of developers and how many of them are now going to be on Unreal.
And how many engines they own but don't use for some reason.
Right. It is way too high when you are selling a platform and you need to build engines that show off your platform, right? Yeah. It may, Unreal may end up working very well on Series consoles or in the next Xbox consoles, right? But it will never be designed to use certain functions, right? Things like SFS, right, which is a major part of sampler feedback, right? Yeah. Streaming is a major part of the design of the Series console. Yeah. Right? It's important to the Series S console. That is not a feature that is supported in Unreal, right? Yeah. Unreal has its own, a similar technology that they use, but it's not exactly the same, right? So you're going to lose the opportunity to have games that are designed specifically for your console because of this. And you know, so you know, whatever, right? So I'm not happy with you know, this with them losing an engine, basically, right? You spend a lot of money on an engine. There, if you look at that at Slipspace, there are a lot of things that Slipspace does very nicely, right? It scales very well, right? It runs on a freaking potato.
On a potato
Very
Xbox OG
right?
VCR, it runs fantastic.
If
Absolutely,
you look at like combat situations in this game, right? There are plenty of instances where there are 30 or 40 AIs on screen at a time, right? And they're not sitting around. They're actively firing, moving, doing things.
They're doing their own thing. Yeah, absolutely.
You know, it may not be the prettiest engine at a distance, but there's some great things that it did. But you know, if you can't get content out, you can't get content out, right?
Right. And then it's and
that's the biggest. That's the biggest issue. But just quickly to
finish your point.
Thought, right? Yeah. So I don't see them making another Halo campaign in this generation. Period. I don't see it. If it does come, it's end of generation at best.
So to me, Halo's dead.
No,
it's terrible. It's dead.
It's on life support. It's not dead.
So hopefully, you know, the happy path here would be that with this shakeup, with them moving to use partners to make games, you know, much like Luke was saying, is that they finally give me the Halo game I've been wanting, which is, you know, a third person over the shoulder action game starring Sergeant Johnson. Right?
Oh God! Yes, give me that
Avery
Avery Johnson stuff. That'd be great.
My character has an attitude, he's funny, and he can carry a scene. And he
Man, that'd be great.
Right?
Holy crap, that'd be amazing.
And I don't know if anybody's read I think the book is First Contact.
First Contact, yes, I read First Contact. Yeah, which all him basically.
All him. He's his first time running into the Covenant with brute forces, and it's a dope book.
He knows what the ladies like.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Right? Halo has, you know, they've tried to expand their universe into like the RTS genre. They should continue to do that. They've done the top-down shooter, which I like those top-down shooters that they made. The arcade
little twin sticks,
I enjoyed them, and my kids enjoyed them. The only problem with them is they were built for phones.
Yes, very lightweight, very simplistic. Yeah,
but also they're built with the nasty design elements of phone games of that time, right? Where you need to buy upgrades and all this other stuff. You got to keep playing the game to get upgrades, right? So there's better ways to design a shooter like that. So you could do you know, other genres in the Halo universe, because the universe is massive. You don't even have to do Halo in the current time frame, right? There's the Forerunner Saga era, which is those books are the best in the series. They're better than any other Halo book. Those 3 books in that series where they're going over like the Didact and explain who he is, you know, why he fought humans and stuff.
The mantle of responsibility and all of that.
Exactly. Right. So that era has a lot of deep lore in it, right? So it's like Microsoft needs to have some stones and finally say to themselves, you know what, we can make a Halo game that's not a Halo game, right? It doesn't have to star Spartans. It doesn't have to do any of that, right? Give me a human soldier trying to survive an outbreak.
Give me Locke before he accepted the idea of becoming a Spartan. What got him there? Because he was a spy, you know. Right? Give me that normal dude, you know.
Exactly, you know. So, you know, we saw Bungie try their hand at that with ODST.
Yeah.
But to me, it's still one of the best of the series.
Bro, they say that turnaround was what, 8 months or something? 8-9 months, like less than a year.
Same engine, right? But same engine, smaller scope.
Yeah.
But if you look at the design of that game, right, it's a hub world design game. You are not overpowered. You're not even enticed to engage every battle in that game.
Yeah. They expect you to hide. Yes.
Right? Yeah. If you don't have the right weapons, you don't take on a hunter in that game, right?
Yeah.
It has a different feel.
Yep.
And it's still a first person shooter, right? So it's like that's the, you know, there is room to do more things in Halo. So my hope is, you know, with you know, this being sidelined a while, or for however long, that they take an opportunity to do something different in the universe. You know, I think people might actually really be hype overseeing an action adventure game in this in the Halo universe.
In the Halo universe,
Right.
absolutely.
So-
No, leave the Master Cheek stuff alone. Let all that stuff die. You know, give us some stories in the Halo universe people can be proud of. I'm just saying, Loke. Let's get your final takes on this Halo
Hold on,
Halo
I'll be right
stuff. Oh yeah, please. Let's see. Let's get your take on this Halo stuff. Yeah, there won't be no more Halo campaigns until the next gen. You know,
Probably.
I say get a TV show going, for an animated show going. I say, you know, just like Pixel saying, you know, broaden the world, right? Leave the Chief alone, leave Cortana alone for a while. You know, let us explore the world while they figure their stuff out as far as the games are concerned. What do you say?
That sounds like a good idea, but I clearly I now have a hot take on my hands. I like the TV show.
I don't hate the
That
TV
is
show. I don't hate the TV show. Now it could be because most people think I'm in the TV show, which is not true. But I don't hate it.
You look like the chick's father.
We are both
swear you
Ghanaians.
do.
He is Mr.
We are
Keys.
both
He
Ghanaians.
is-
That's why he's also Ghanaian.
He
That's
does.
why we have
Kay
similar
Asante does play
features.
Captain Keys on the side.
I
yeah.
swear, dude,
Uh-huh,
you're
yeah,
just
uh-huh,
out here capping, but you're gonna be filming in a couple of months.
Sure, yes. Yeah.
See you,
Master
we
Cheeks and
see
all
you,
that. Yes.
Captain Keys.
Yeah.
I really like the show, but what I do is when Captain Keys' daughter is on,
Miranda, yeah.
I just quickly fast forward.
Oh, you hate Miranda?
Oh wow.
Like, really, really dislike that young lady.
Okay.
wow.
Okay.
I thought muting. I thought muting would be
Would help.
better, but just seeing her facial expression makes me nauseous.
Yeah, she did look like a deer in the headlights wherever she was. It was always like, where am I and why am I here? At all times. That was her
So
default look.
her and the obligatory companion, the little Chinese chick. No, just no. So when those two characters are on, right?
You don't
Then
love
you
Quan?
mute-
That's
you
why
fast
I
You
love
don't
forward.
the
love
show.
Quan? Who doesn't love Quan?
I hate Quan. I was starting to hate the show, and then it just popped in my
man.
mind. I specifically dislike these two characters. What happens if I just fast forward when they show up? And guys, I'm telling you, man,
Show's better.
It's a whole other show. It is amazing.
So you know what
It
you
is
should do? You should do what YouTubers do. You should cut them out and stitch together one show without any of them. I've seen people do
I
that.
don't know if anyone would be willing to watch that. I don't know. I'll think about it.
I
Yeah.
rewatched episode 1 last week,
Okay,
and
and
it's a good episode, yo. Like the show actually has a lot more bright spots than bad spots, even if you do
in a
like-
world where
Big
The
Soul,
Last
I
of
didn't
Us
even keep
exists,
That's the problem.
in
I
a
just want it
world
to be-
where The Last of Us exists, you can say you like they shouldn't change anything about that show. Keep it exactly as is. In a world where The Last of Us exists,
No, The Last of Us
Big
was
Soul.
always more show than game, so
touche.
why am I impressed?
I'm
Touche.
with Pixel.
It's barely a game. Am I supposed to be impressed? The Last of Us was never really a game.
Touche,
You don't
good
play
sir.
The Last
Touche.
of Us, you watch it. Like, come on, let's be
Yeah.
real.
But
I don't
Pixel,
care what somebody say about it. It's half cutscene. Like, come on.
Pixel, to your point about episode 1, bro. I'm not gonna tell you which one or which ones, but there's a couple of episodes. Like I watched 15 minutes of the show because the rest of it was Quan or
I feel you.
Miranda, and I'm like, dog. I came here to see Spartans. That's what I came to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't come here to see.
The best
Yes.
episodes of the show definitely are the parts where the Spartans are there with helmets on. No question about it.
I mean,
Helmets on.
but I will
Helmets
say
on.
though, like the doctor, they picked a perfect doctor. They picked a perfect actor to play her. Her ruthlessness.
Halsey.
She
Well,
took
yeah.
over the screen. Halsey did.
Halsey
Yeah.
is an important character. Right?
Yes,
And
I love her so
it's
much.
a
She
great
does
job
such
for
good
her.
work.
Like I can follow
Yes.
her and her shenanigans around for a while.
Yeah.
But she's out of her mind. And she's probably the most evil person in the show, besides from the aliens, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
she's pretty brutal. You know what I'm saying? So
So
They did
let's
a-
But
let's let's pause for just a moment.
to fight the aliens, though.
Just a moment to hear a question. Like he's saying, you need a Halsey to be able to fight the aliens. She brought about the Spartans, right? Quick aside, because the man Victor Alistine in the chat, welcome here, good sir. Thank you for being here. He says, what if Microsoft hired Ubisoft and they're over 4,000 devs to go develop Halo with 343 the way they did Crystal D in the dynamic and the initiative?
You have Far Halo.
Yeah, you have Far Halo, yes, where you'd go on top of some kind of outpost of the Covenant, and then you'd I don't know, spin around, and all your markers would be there.
As soon as you said Ubisoft, I tuned that out. Like, what?
Isn't that telling you what Halo Infinite already is, right?
Look at Loke. Loke is like, nah, I got to take my glasses off of that one. Oh, God. Oh, man. He's like, oh, Lord. That took a few years off my life, that one, real quick.
I will not be addressing that.
He says that does not even deserve the benefit of a response.
That's not what we're looking for. We're not looking for that. Yeah.
Understood. All right. Well, we're close to the end of this episode with 15 minutes left. Loke, give me your take, your last few takes. Yeah.
To your original point, the TV show side, carry on doing whatever you guys are doing. I'll keep fast forwarding Quan and the other black chick. What we need, other than video games in the universe, what we need is an anime on the level of Cyberpunk Edge Runners.
Facts.
If you guys can do that, if you can nail that, it's over.
They don't need to nail anything. Just go hand it to Netflix and say, do what you do, because Netflix has become a well-oiled machine.
They have that with Halo Legends.
Yes, where they allowed they allowed different directors to take a take of each of them. They were very good.
That was nice.
Okay,
Yes.
so they can reach out to any of those guys to make that anime, because
Absolutely.
those are fire. Yeah.
Absolutely.
That was dope.
Now, OBM, final take. What do you see? Where do we have? We have like 15 minutes to go. Where do you see Halo going? Are we TV show? Is that the saving grace? Is Master Cheeks coming back for season 2? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, so I won't make a long entrance here on this, but I think the thing I'll try to keep some hopium for is, Pierre is somebody that does seem, he obviously understands the game. He did a good job bringing MCC back. I think people need to, we're going to need to give Halo some time to breathe. I'm not expecting short-term results. I don't think Halo's dead by any means, but I do think it is going to be
to the single players.
It is being reimagined the way they approach the franchise, and I think it needed to be. One of the biggest hidden obstacles with Halo, with everything Halo, is the fact that even the hardcore fans can't agree and are at each other in terms of what this franchise should be. So I think, kind of summarizing what you guys were all saying, whether it's the show, whether it's games, I think they should try more experimental things, branch out a little bit. We still need a main line, though. We still need a main line with the sandbox, and I don't know if you can do that on Unreal or not. We still need to have that. I think that they need to deliver that to the fans that have been with this this platform for over 2 decades. That Halo's been the Mario of this, this
we lost Loke.
the center of
he'll come back.
Yeah, hopefully bump back in there. But
and
yeah,
don't
so
worry about the fix. We'll fix it, folks. There, keep going. Yes, go ahead. Yes.
But yeah, and even with things like the show, like they restructured the whole studio. So they talked about this being like a Star Wars. Star Wars has a it has a cartoon to go along with, other types of content, and it'd be interesting to see if they did a cartoon that was lore loyal,
specific lore focused.
Yeah, would that actually do better? And so, there's a lot of opportunities with the franchise. I think the franchise has been very underutilized because there's been so much pressure in one spot. I think by branching out, they can lift some of that pressure, take some more chances, maybe even do some smaller things. Not necessarily a gigantic budget. Their Elden Ring's equivalent, or in fact, I think right now that isn't really where the focus should be. It shouldn't be on it shouldn't be on that. I think it needs to be kind of regaining some trust and just having some little wins first, getting some of the basics and the foundation done right with the with what they do have in multiplayer right now, all that stuff, and then they can try to, once they regain some of that confidence, throw out some really bold, big campaigns and things like that. So, that's in a summary. That's my summary.
I appreciate your thoughts on it, and this is specifically coming from you, who would be more than happy with just continuing down the path of them continuing to like I guess to that point, I'll add that last question in here for you. Do you think that they could continue, and I guess to you, Pixel, as well, do you think that they just could continue with this and just say, okay, well, that was the end of our first player run, we may take another stab at it at some point, but we're gonna keep working at it. Pierre's doing well. We're just gonna keep it moving with Halo in this multiplayer only centric game format and find success that way? Do you think that that's possible?
I think they got to get this thing cleaned up. It's still got a lot of, for anybody that's still playing multiplayer, which I do. Oops. I was on, like I said, till 2 a.m. last night. It's still got a lot of rough edges in the multiplayer. They need to clean that stuff up and deliver some of the things they promised. But at the same time, this is what, even though Microsoft's probably going to close on ABK this year, right? They have Bethesda. They have bigger IPs now than bigger IPs than Halo today. But despite that, I still think yeah, I mean, like Elder Scrolls and Call of Duty are bigger.
I agree. I'm only messing with you. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, but like in terms of like mind share for all of gaming, right? Like they're bigger than what Halo is today. But regardless of that, when people think about Xbox, the people that have been core gamers, that have been console gamers, that have been around for the years, that are really the people that have I can't even say the word, that basically promote your services, your games the most. For them, Halo is still the Mario of this, and I think they still have to treat it as such. And so even if, as some rumors were saying, that Microsoft is looking at Halo campaigns as not a moneymaker anymore, I don't think it matters. This is still, it doesn't exist in a vacuum. How the quality of this franchise goes is going to impact the perception of how you manage your studios, the perception of what you're capable of. They need to get it back on track, and they do need to try to regain confidence. And I don't think that they can just basically go, we're going to just put this aside. You would never see Nintendo do that with Mario, and I don't think Microsoft has any excuse or should ever be given leeway to do the same thing with Halo.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so Victor Alstein in the chat also posts a very interesting statement here, which I thought, hey, that's an interesting thought. He says he thinks that they should let one side go off and do the Unreal experimentation and make games there, while the other side continues on the Slipstream bandwagon and build it out like doing. I hope so, brother.
It could happen.
I think that at the very least, the multiplayer. So there can't be a world where there is no active Halo, right? Like, MCC is technically not active, at least not supposed to be getting active updates. Infinite's multiplayer will, right? They'll continue banging on it. I think they'll kind of treat it like the Sea of Thieves, right? Where that came and it didn't hit initially.
But it's out here right now. People are playing the heck out of that game.
Now it's the thing, right? Microsoft, one thing that they are relatively good at least with is trying to keep a service game alive. So the service component will stay alive. I mean, I think they gave up on the single player components because there so much time and effort had gone into keeping the service thing going that they just could not focus on anything else, right? So I think they'll keep trying to bang on it. We'll see. We'll know more over the next 6 months if they hit their cadences on these drops, right? But we're seeing like more frequent drops, even if it's smaller, from them. So I think they'll keep going with that route. But I don't know if they can ever make it truly successful after floundering for 2 years with it.
To me, this is Mario level going.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna mothball them for a while. You know,
Well,
this is like PlayStation going. Kratos, you had a good run.
Well, hold on. To be fair, right? How long before between Halo 5 and Infinite?
Sure.
It's
It
How
was
long-
a minute and a
how long
half.
between
Yes.
the God of War that failed. What was
Yeah.
that terrible one?
Ascensions, I think it was.
Ascension.
Yeah,
And
and
2018.
2018. Yeah,
How
but
long
see,
was
2018 was already in the hopper a long time when Ascensions was still was being shown off. So they still had forward momentum, whereas we don't know if that's the same here, and it makes me sad.
Well, like the studio still, it's sad, but the studio still exists, right? I'd
True.
be more concerned if they're like, yo, we're closing
343.
And
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah,
bruh.
yeah.
You know
That'd
what
be
I'm saying?
something.
Like,
Yeah, that'd
they
be
can't
something.
afford to
gave
do
them the
that.
black and white treatment. What's the original Fable developer?
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
they did that.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, and Black and White was an amazing game from an amazing studio, and I still feel salty that they closed that thing.
Yeah, I'm still
But
mad
yes,
about that.
Yes. We are at the end of this episode. I said we were going to keep it a nice 3 hour because we had so much to talk about, and we're going to thread that needle perfectly. I will say, Loke could not reconnect. He was having some connection issues, but we so appreciative of Loke 7 being on the show. As you can see, he hangs with the rest of us because he lets the slander fly. He has strong opinions, and we appreciate him for it. Always well spoken, always introspective. I appreciate him being a voice on the show, and I think everyone should go check out his stuff. I will put all the detailed show notes for him on our in our show notes when this thing posts live. I will now turn to Pixel Bit G, the lore master, the one with the hammer, like just swinging it, either in our chat or even in the Twitter streets, brother.
It is the original hammer of Rock.
Yeah, see, this is my hammer. I keep my hammer tight with me
Good old
everywhere.
good old
This is
gravity
Thor's
hammer,
hammer, right?
Yeah,
Thank you
the
for being
gravity
here,
hammer.
brother. Appreciate you for being here. Tell the folks where they can keep up with your ongoings. You're on cam now. Tell me we're gonna see you on more podcasts, brother. Come on.
Yeah, I was just on Ham Solo's
There we
podcast.
go.
Like,
There we
a week
go.
ago. Yeah. So
Yeah.
you know, you may see me around a little bit more, but for now you can find me on Twitter under Infinite Gaming. Too many numbers. I'm not even gonna tell you, but it's you know,
It'll be down in the show notes for sure. It'll be down in the show notes.
You'll find me on there. You know what I'm saying? I'm usually providing slander for somebody posting nonsense on my timeline.
Appreciate it, man. We appreciate you. Absolutely.
But I appreciate you having me on here. As always, it's great. It's great to be on here with you. Why am I forgetting my man's name right now?
It's all right. I do. You know what? I do this stuff all the time. So it's all right.
It's great having you on here, man. And you know, it was nice working with Loke because I haven't. I've never spoken to him directly, so
yeah. Great dude. Yeah. I was excited to have him on. I'm hopefully we're gonna have him back on here again. And Pixel, I appreciate your perspective from a developer's standpoint, like, you know, dispelling some of the false, odd narratives that may permeate because folks just may not be aware. You know, you and Everborn, whenever you crack the nut and share some of those details, it's always appreciated. So thank you so much for continuing to support us and be on the show, and we'll definitely have you back. Now, one bad mother, OBM, Nick vehemently told me not to have you on because it's just not appropriate for you to be here, and he's not. But come on, man. We had to have you on here for that 343 smoke, for the conversation and the Halo and all your talks in gaming in general. We appreciate you being here. Xbox Era being one of my favorite. Like I go there for a lot of things. I enjoy the podcast. I watch it religiously every week. I think you guys do great work there. You know, tell us what new things are going on. You know, I know that Jesse is like reviewing like 50 billion things every 5 minutes. You know, we're going to see a lot more reviews from you guys. And yeah, I still use that Xbox Era Day One app, which is really good because it shows you all this really cool stuff that's coming on Game Pass and stuff. I think it's really awesome.
Yeah, we do need to do a better job letting people know about that.
Yeah, y'all should promote it better because it's really good.
We've launched some really cool things, and then it's like move on to the next thing, and then not following through. It's almost like how Microsoft used to launch first-party games, and so we got to get better at getting back there, promoting that stuff. But yeah. awesome being with you again. If I was at home and up on a Saturday, I'd probably be showing up even more often because I do love always
whenever
the conversations you have.
Whenever you want to, brother. Come on now, you don't even have to ask. Just hey, give me the link, and you're in here.
I do love the deeper perspectives, the nuances, the fact that you guys you brought it too. Both our guests did today. Brought it with different perspectives and some of the background that maybe you don't get. You always get like the top level. Everybody kind of says the same top level things, and there's a lot of this world usually operates in the gray, right? There's a lot more to everything. So it was a great time being here. If people want to find me, you can follow me on Twitter at mother_1. Otherwise, if you like Halo, if you hung out to the end there, we have a podcast. It's about every couple 2-3 weeks, it depends on the news. We just went a couple days ago, so check out our deep dive there. We break down the Schreier article and everything else. But yeah, other than that, man, just awesome time and Pixel Bit. It's great to see you on camera, man. You got a great smile for camera, so definitely, man, stick with that. It was a great job. Yeah, man. It was a lot of fun. A lot of fun being here today.
Now, you guys, Everborn wasn't here, but y'all filled the space. We could keep going. I'm just trying to be more cognizant of the time. I appreciate so much that you guys are here. The chat was real lively. People are having great conversations. The weekend has just started, ladies and gentlemen. So there is a lot there's a lot of gaming conversations to be had. A Living Split Screen is still live right now. They're probably going to keep going for another hour. After I'm done here, I'm going to check out what they're doing, in addition to all the other awesome shows. So we hope you guys appreciate you being here. We hope you guys have a great weekend. Keep it gaming. And yeah, I guess that's it for this episode. We will see you guys next week. And EverbornSaga will be back in his slanderous form. So we'll see y'all next week with that. But until then, have a good weekend.